lost hope in humanity many moons ago. Took the sun to remind me the moon is just for show. Reflecting light, it has no light of its own. Without the sun, it's just a dark, cold, perilous globe. I mean, I probably had to take you back, but how far though? Back when me and mama rode the bus because her car broke. Back when I was in my early teens, having dreams about being your favorite rapper, but none of it's what it seems. Maybe the crime scene, the scene of the crime. My partner had got arrested, went away for a time. Felt guilty in my soul cause I barely wrote him. I was busy medicating and losing serotonin. Or maybe I could take you back to Atlanta when I was brave. Hit my knees in front of everyone crying, Jesus saves. I wrote a couple songs in my room and then I prayed, went to sleep and woke up 20 years later and I was paid like this is the story of my reconstruction. I was broken and busted, I was dented and rusted. I hated Christians for a while, thought the church was disgusting. But that pain becomes a license for liquor and lusting. I mean, what can you trust in if you don't trust in God? My existence was just a figment of my feeble mind. So depressing, living for nothing but your carnal urges. Intellectuals answer questions, but it still disturbed me. Holy Spirit, patiently waiting, nothing forsaken. Started stirring my faith, it was gentle and never shaken. The Bama podcast and Marty Solomon's words. I read a couple books by Lois Tverberg. Many sermons by Tony Evans and Charlie Dates. I felt the Lord showing his face, giving me grace. Corrected vision when my eyes got blurry. I get a Lord glory, he changed my whole story like
weird. What are you building?
Dark twisted fantasies, caste system casualties, lying lips inside the pulpit, false realities, Masoretic textual criticism, cynicism, homophobic pedophiles, double standards, agendas hidden, blasphemers, bad teachers, cash seekers, trash leaders, tricked a lot of people out the faith and they detached Jesus. I came back to rescue the people lost in the jungle, recover the fumble and let them see what the sun do. We tore down the walls of the temple but left the foundation, mold infested roof leaking politics of a proud nation. You think I'm here to flip tables, but I ain't started yet. Way too many blueprints, but I don't see many architects. Churches hide behind public policy with a face mask. Yeah, I'm talking heavy. I'm in another weight class, anomaly. Weighted with ancient Near Eastern prophecy, scrutinizing Western philosophies and theologies, lifting up the skirt of you Pharisees like a pervert. Hard-hearted, self-righteous distributors of church hurt. They say this is the end cause the people are uninspired. The game ain't over yet, just a couple players retired.
They said we were walking away from the faith. We wasn't walking away from faith, we was walking away from fraud. We rebels again. We was handed doctrines dipped in dominance, while the systems abused the sacred. But that wasn't true. That was hypocrisy. So we tore it down. Not because we hate truth, but because we love it too much. We ain't lost, we architects now. We not destroying, we're clearing space to rebuild. A faith that can breathe, a gospel that liberates.
I was wrestling like, should I write a verse? The culture got enough clout chasing vultures out here, trying to prove their worth. They need attention. They can't imagine me not trying to make myself look bigger off of this Kendrick mention. I can't imagine his position. Before I got on my mission, I was a party victim. I bought the party favors. I used my trauma, my single mama, to justify commas to pay the devil's wages. Whew. It probably went over their heads. Basically what I said is I was government fed, bred for doing time in the feds, but Jesus bled. Instead of putting dents in their head, he turned his. My cup runneth over with nonsense. They hearts grow colder, they
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another live stream. Super good to have you here. My name is Tyler Ramsey. If you don't know me, well, hello. I am the founder of two organizations that I don't have on the screen because I was just in a meeting, and so I use OBS for my meetings. Let me pull this back up. There we go. Oh, no, not that one. Not that one. Let's try this one. There we go. Hacksmarter and Kairosc. Hacksmarter is what I'm going to be showcasing in today's live stream, but Hacksmarter has hands-on labs and courses that you can actually afford in the field of ethical hacking. We release new content every single week. We have our first, ladies and gentlemen, our first Blue Team lab coming out tomorrow morning. I'll be live streaming then as well to celebrate the release of that lab, but our first Blue Team lab coming out tomorrow morning, and our next full course, my hopefully you are anticipating it. My web app pen testing course is coming out on Tuesday. So this coming Tuesday that will release. It will be $60, but on release, I'm giving it to you 50% off, only $29.99 for lifetime access. Otherwise, it's included in the all access subscription. We'll have over 80 videos, over 30 custom labs hosted for you in the cloud. You just connect via VPN, but I think you will enjoy it. Beginner friendly web app pen testing course that will take you from beginner to about junior pen tester level when it comes to web app pen testing. So I think you guys will really enjoy it. The other organization I started and I lead is Kairosc. That is the pen testing firm that I started and where I do the bulk of my work. So when you see me on stream talking about like hacking and pen testing, I am not just another influencer trying to sell you a dream about hacking. This is actually what I do. So Kairosc, we are a boutique pen testing firm. We do all kinds of pen testing, but I am the founder and, well, the only pen tester right now. Basically a startup, so going from the beginning, but that is really starting to take off. So have a few cool projects coming up. Just finished up a 2-week web app pen test. Actually, the report is due today, but I have the report mostly done. So wanted to jump on, hang out with you guys, and I'll finish up that report this afternoon. But those are the two things. So if your company is looking for a pen test, we do still have a few openings for 2026, not many to be honest, but would love to work with you. So head out to kairosc-sec.com. And hey, if you want to learn how to hack all the things and be part of what I think the best InfoSec community around today, go to hacksmarter.org. Our community is completely free, and we have a lot of free labs as well on the platform. So no payment required. Check it out first, see if you enjoy it. And if you enjoy it, please consider becoming a subscriber or purchasing one of the courses. But all right. What we are going to do today, ladies and gentlemen, we have, well, one of my more traditional streams. It's been a little bit. Can't really stream when I'm doing a pen test. At least I can't stream for a long time. And so in the beginning of the stream, I will do an AMA. So if you have any questions about cybersecurity, pen testing, certifications, business, entrepreneurship, all the things, I'm an open book. Would love to answer your question. So we'll do a little bit of AMA, and then we're going to dive into some live hacking. And if you want to get started before me, the machine that we're going to be working on today is, well, first, let me fix OBS, and then I'll show you the machine that we're going to be working on today. But if you want to start before me, I've literally been solving our labs in order. So in the most recent hacking stream, we solved the Cisco machine here. And now we're going to be diving into the welcome machine here. It looks like an easy rated Active Directory challenge lab. So I don't even remember if I've done this one yet. A lot of our machines are done by our QA team. And so when I do them on stream, it's me approaching it for the first time. I don't remember this machine. I don't remember if I've solved it. We'll find out once we get started. But if you want to follow along and you want to boot it up and get started with your scanning, this is the machine. So if you head over to Hacksmarter, you can check out the machine. If you just scroll down to the hands-on lab section, you can see you can sort the labs. If you want to find it easier, sort the labs by Active Directory, and you should be able to find the machine right here. There's the welcome machine that we'll be working on, but I am quite literally just going in the order as we release labs. You can see a lot of them are free if you just want to check out the platform and see what the platform is like. But welcome is the one that we will be kicking off later on in today's live stream. All right, I'm going to scroll up to the top and say hello. Hit any questions that you guys have. We got Philly D with the first blood on the chat. What's up, Philly D? We got BC Things checking in. Good to see you, my friend. We got Jesse F. Moore. Hello. We got HHHHHV9Z6C. You have the hardest name that I can possibly say, but it's good to have you here. Oh, also, guys, I forgot to share this with you, but I am live right now on 3 different platforms. You can join on whatever platform works best for you, but I am live on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitch. On YouTube and LinkedIn, I just stream under my name, Tyler Ramsby. And over on Twitch, I stream under the handle hack_smarter. So YouTube and LinkedIn is Tyler Ramsby. Twitch is hack_smarter. But I have the chat from all 3 platforms pulled up in Restream, and I am live on all 3 of them. So whichever one you're on, works for me. We got Africans D40 checking in. What is up? We got Pone Shell. Hello. We got my friend Wrench. Good to see you. We got Death Wish O. Hello, hello. We got DT checking in from England. I love it. We have Hacker Lass, if I'm saying that correct. Good to see you as well. We got Neckbeard777. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to you. African says, I'm new to Active Directory. Well, let me show you something on the platform. If you are new to Active Directory, we have these Hack With Me's, which are like almost like mini courses going through some Active Directory labs. These first 3 are pay what you can, starting at $0. I use vulnlab/hackthebox for those. That's before we had our own labs. These ones actually come with labs from our platform, the AD Volume 3 and Linux hacking. And actually, I am actively working on AD Volume 4 Hack With Me, so it will be coming out soon, and it will be super cheap, probably like $14 or something when that comes out, and it will give you 2 of our labs as well. So if you're new to AD hacking and you want to check out these Hack With Me's, these 3 are free. Now, to be clear, you do need a subscription to either VulnLab or Hack the Box if you want to follow along. Otherwise, you can just watch them and take notes as you go if you aren't able to afford that sub. But they are pay what you can, starting at $0 for you to check out. Is that Lecrae? That is, I'm a huge fan of Lecrae. Adebayo, if I'm saying that correct, that is Lecrae from his new album. Well, somewhat new. I guess it's not super new now, but his album Reconstruction. But yes, I'm a big Lecrae fan. Tusif said, one in the early years, here, I'll go back to this. One in the early years of cybersecurity must do this cert. I'm not, are you asking a question or making a statement? I'm also not sure what cert you're talking about, but if you want to provide some clarity, happy to answer the question or provide some context. What's up, Peter? Good to see you. Jesse said, looking forward to the web app course. Good, I am too. It was so much work, guys. The course is completely done right now. It's just going through our final QA. One question that I have received, and I actually received this, I know I received this on a recent live stream, which is why I made the video about it. I don't know why it's taking so long to load YouTube. If you head over to my YouTube channel, which if you're watching on Twitch or LinkedIn, YouTube is my primary platform. But if you head over to my YouTube channel, I just released this video this morning. So one of the big questions I've received from people is saying, Tyler, there's Portswigger Academy. Why a web app course out of all things? And it's short video, only 3 minutes long. But in that video, I answer that question. What makes my course different from what's available on a platform like Portswigger's Web Security Academy? So if you have that question, watch the course. The other thing I want to tell you about my course, you'll see this on the page when it releases, but it's like 100% money back guarantee, which I know is insane. Some people would say it's stupid because people can take advantage of me. But I think your trust is worth the potentiality of someone taking advantage of me. But what I mean by that, the course will be $29.99 for lifetime access when it releases. Very beginner friendly. If you go through the course and you go through all the labs and at the end you're like, you know what, Tyler, this wasn't worth it, shoot me an email. I'll refund you 100% of whatever you paid for the course. That's how much I believe in the content on Hacksmarter. So I'm not trying to rip you off. I'm not trying to like make some flashy videos to get you to buy a course. I 100% stand behind my courses and my content. And this web app pen testing course, guys, I think all my courses are good. I'm obviously biased. I think this web app pen testing course is by far the best course I have ever made. And I'm super excited to share it with all of you. But if you have that question, you can find that video and check out that video. My cat decided to join us for the live stream for the AMA. What is up, C. Kent? Good to see you. We got Inebriated checking in. Hello, hello. Alistair. Dude, what is up, my friend? Good to see you checking in over on LinkedIn. Am I a hacker? Yeah, well, I'm a hacker. I'm a hacker, ZL. Tusif said, I am going of OSEP in last week of March. Which lab you recommend for me? So any of our labs that are medium and above, so the medium and hard Active Directory labs is what I would recommend, because for the OSEP, you do need some basic evasion skills, and all of those labs require some basic evasion of Windows Defender in particular. So I'd recommend all of our medium and hard AD labs because they will teach you some solid evasion skills that will apply to the OSEP. Firo says, I'm waiting for the web app course. Me too. It's so soon, guys. So soon. We're only like 6 days away now. What's up, AD Penguin? Sneaks by Jay said, hey, Tyler, I have been studying for days now for Try Hack Me PT1. Can you help me on what topic should I focus on more? The PT1, the hardest part about the PT1 in my experience, I actually helped. So me and Try Hack Me, we're not on talking terms anymore. I'm not a fan of Try Hack Me as an organization. I'm still friends with many of the employees. And honestly, my beef just goes to specifically their main CEO. I have no issues with any of the Try Hack Me employees or anything, but I used to be on their QA team. I actually helped beta test the PT1 when they were coming out with it. I think the PT1 is a well-designed certification. The challenge that most people have is the web app pen testing portion of it. If you treat it like a CTF, you will fail. You have to treat it much more like a real engagement and a holistic overview. So I'm not going to go into it now. I have a video on my YouTube channel on my advice for the PT1. I go into a lot more detail on what I mean by that, but I recommend checking out that video for better advice. Steel Point Security said, yo, bro, I passed the PJBT like 2 weeks ago. I love it. Congratulations. That is amazing. How about the market condition of AD pen testers? Honestly, the job market right now is rough in general. I think the best way to get a job as a pen tester, to get your foot in the door, is having strong web app pen testing skills. Now, it does depend on the firm, but for a lot of firms, a lot of what you'll be doing is web app pen testing because, well, most organizations have a web app that has the largest attack surface because it's internet facing, and a lot of firms will do a web app pen test. So in my experience, having solid web app pen testing skills is the best way to get your foot in the door at most pen testing firms. So getting CVEs and things under your name with web app pen testing. And then once you land the job, then you can pivot into other areas. So at my last firm before starting my own, I started out doing web apps, but by the end, I was one of the lead pen testers there, and I was doing web apps, APIs, mobile apps, cloud, AWS, Azure, GCP, both internal and external networks, social engineering. I'm probably missing out a few things, but I started with web apps and then just gradually extended what I was learning and what I was doing. Greetings from Argentina. I love it. Suri said, sharing some good news. I just got an offer for a junior pen tester position. That is awesome. Yo, Suari, I don't know how to say your name, but congratulations. That is amazing. Thank you for sharing it with us. I appreciate you. Steel Point said, are you recruiting anyways or want someone to help you on your team? No, I'm still trying to figure out how to pay myself. I cannot pay another employee. So maybe when Kairosc blows up, it'll be like that. But at least for this first year, I'm not going to be hiring someone. Like, if anything, I would maybe pull someone in who's an experienced contractor, but even then, there's a lot of complexity behind that. Kind of my selling point to clients right now for Kairosc is if you get a pen test with us, you're not getting like a junior pen tester. If you get a pen test with us, I'm the one doing your pen test. I'm your project manager, and I'm also your pen tester, and I can assure you it's going to be done really well with a manual deep dive into whatever the environment is. And so until I have a much better vetting process and reporting process for contractors, that's how Kairosc is going to be. We have a small number of clients just because I can only do so many pen tests, which is only one pen test at a time. And honestly, only about one pen test a month because of the amount of work that goes into them. And so I can't do a bunch of pen testing, but the ones that we do offer, I know that they're going to be done really well. And the client's going to have a good experience. Hello from Zimbabwe. I love it. Meh. I don't know if you guys heard my cat just meow to the mic. Peter said, part 1 question. You're doing a pen test and you find a readable XML file in a readable folder in the C drive. You find a privileged username, domain, and server name, but it has no password, token, or hash. Part 2. It's protected with a PAM solution though. Account has no email and is set with MFA. What risk score would you give it still? Username, domain, and server name? I mean, that would maybe be an informational, if anything. Like, if you already have access to the Active Directory environment, you can already dump all the users via netexec. So finding a username and a share doesn't do a whole lot for you. I'd have to see the environment, but... Oh, what's up? Zero X3 Security, what's up? Oh, is Wild West Hacking Fest going on right now in Denver? I didn't even know. I go to the Deadwood version of Wild West Hacking Fest because I live in South Dakota, so it's near me. That is awesome. Hopefully you're having an amazing time at Wild West Hacking Fest Mile High over in Denver. Holo said, hey, are you still going through OSEP? I am, very slowly, but I will be taking that certification eventually. Guys, I got too much on my plate between Hacksmarter and Kairosc. Taking the time to go through a certification, like I literally don't have the time that I can set aside for it. If I'm not doing Hacksmarter, I am actively on a pen test. So eventually, if I can find or make the time, I will be taking that cert, but my schedule's insane. Sidar said, I have a SOC analyst interview next week, but I have been a little away from Blue Team. Last time I did anything related was 6 months ago. How can I prepare? I've never worked in a SOC. I would check out Hack the Boxes like Sherlock's and their CDSA path. But I don't know. I've never worked in a SOC. I'm a pen tester. Jose said, hello, Tyler. From an early career pen tester moving into AI agent hacking, which fundamentals are critical to master before specializing? For AI and agent hacking, I think you don't need this, but I think it's preferable that you have a solid foundation in web app pen testing, like application security. A lot of the AI agent hacking, although it seems advanced and confusing, really what it is it's processing user input in an unsafe way. That's like the biggest pitfall behind web applications when you're doing application security. So if you have a strong foundation in application security, you'll be able to pick up AI/agent hacking somewhat quick. The agent hacking is a little bit different, right? The agent hacking, it'd be better to have a strong foundation in network pen testing because of the way the agents work. Network pen testing and cloud would be strong foundations I would recommend for the agent hacking side of things. For the AI, and what I mean by that is like the prompt injection, things of that nature, strong AppSec skills for agent hacking, strong network pen testing, and strong cloud skills. Dark Trey says, are we doing AD today? We are. We're going to be doing the welcome machine from the Hacksmarter platform, or at least kicking it off. I don't think we'll solve it. Anything for SOC in the future on Hacksmarter? Yes. We have our first Blue Team lab coming out tomorrow. It will be free for the first 4 hours. If you enjoy the lab, consider becoming a subscriber. But Ember Forge Studios, a small indie game dev, just got breached. Their upcoming title, Neon Shadows, was leaked to the underground forums before release. Lead artist Lisa Martin reported strange behavior on her workstation after opening a file from her desktop. 48 hours later, source code was everywhere. You've been brought in to figure out what happened. So not necessarily SOC, more incident response, but you're going to be working with Splunk to investigate an incident, which I think is cool. We have another threat hunting lab that will be coming out in the near future and a forensics lab that I was just talking to the creator on who wants to submit it, but someone who works in forensics who wants to create a really cool looking forensics labs for Hacksmarter. So although our labs now are all hacking, pen testing, Blue Team, incident response, forensics are coming very soon to the Hacksmarter platform. So subscribe today. Jose said, junior pen tester, my team wants me to focus on AI agent hacking, but I feel gaps in core fundamentals. How would you balance building strong basics while specializing in AI? I sort of already answered that, but I mean, I do think you need strong basics in general pen testing before jumping over to AI. So that's application security, cloud, and network pen testing. You don't pick those up super quick. Like, it's one thing to learn those in a lab environment, which I think is helpful. Obviously, I have Hacksmarter, but there's some things you only learn when you do real engagements. And you can only do so many real engagements at once. So it just takes time to build those strong basics in the real world of pen testing. Sneaks by Jay, I already answered your question. Rewind the stream. Eli, the crypto guy, does any of your AD courses go over exploiting print spooler service on DCs? I don't, to be honest, I don't remember. I've made over 800 videos at this point in time, and it all kind of meshes together in my head. So I have covered that. I just don't know if it's in any of my hack with me's or anything like that. What's up, Original Bleach? Logan over on LinkedIn said, hey, Tyler, love your videos. I had a question for you. What would you tell someone that was thinking about switching from a Blue Team SOC role to pen testing? Well, I would tell you, number one, your Blue Team stuff will actually translate really well to pen testing. I was not in the SOC, but before I was a pen tester, I was a senior analyst on the blue team, specifically in vulnerability management for a super large organization. That gave me a lot of context when I'm doing pen testing and when I'm working with large organizations. But the other part of it is everyone wants to be a pen tester. Stupid cat just bit me. Cat, go do something else, bro. Everyone wants to be a pen tester. And so you have to figure out a way to make yourself stand out. I recommend the OSCP. I'm not even a fan of OffSec, but the OSCP is still the gold standard in the eyes of many HR departments. So the OSCP, I recommend doing some CVE hunting to get a few CVEs on your resume. And I recommend building your own platform, YouTube, blog, etc., to start putting your name out there in order to help yourself stand out from the pack. Geez, so many good questions. All right, let me hit a few of these. DT said, wanted to ask for some advice. I'm looking to get hired at an MSSP. I was wondering if you had any advice on what kind of search to take as a way into an entry-level analyst position at an MSSP. Those, honestly, the CompTIA ones and Cisco ones would be good, I think, for an MSSP. So your A+, Network Plus, Security Plus, and the CCNA would be solid foundations, in my opinion. I've never worked at an MSSP, though. So anytime I answer a question about an industry I haven't worked in, I'd want to be very clear. Take it with a grain of salt. Rocco said, I have PMPT and going for OSCP in next couple of weeks. What labs would you recommend on your platform for some final polishing? I just finished Ascension and really enjoyed it. Well, if you have ever heard of Lane Kusanagi, he has his OSCP list of machines. He's actually one of our lab creators as well. So let me drop this link in here for you. I don't know why I have it in dark mode on my screen. But if you go to Lane Kusanagi's list of OSCP-like machines, you will see that Hacksmarter is on here. So we have some Linux ones, some Windows ones, some AD and networks, assume breach, networks. These, it says Privest not in scope but good practice. I will say some of our machines are going to be harder than what you will encounter on the OSCP. And we also have AWS labs. I think the Pen 200 covers AWS, but it's not required for the exam. But this would be the best advice I can give you is go through the machines on Lane Kusanagi's list from the Hacksmarter platform. He made the Cisco machine, the one that we just finished. Lane is the author of that one. He made another machine. I believe it's called Sideload. I'm going off memory, but it's another one on our release schedule that I think you guys will really enjoy. So shout out to Lane. He is one of our lab creators, a genuinely awesome, solid, nice person. And he's part of the Hacksmarter crew. All right, let me scroll back up and hit the other questions. Oh, I saw some super chats as I was scrolling. We got Shake with the 2 GBP. Have junior pen tester interview this Friday. Any tips? I will get to your question. Actually, I'll just answer it now since you gave the super chat. Thank you for your generosity. The best tip I can give you for a junior pen testing role is make sure you're willing to say, I don't know. What's going to happen from my experience is they're going to ask you questions that they know that you don't know the answer to. The worst thing you can do in that moment is just like mumble and make up an answer. The best thing you can say is say, I don't know, but I will get back to you. And then when the interview concludes, I actually want you to research whatever the question was, follow it with the person interviewing you via email and give them the answer. That will allow you to stand out more than 99% of other candidates. The other interview advice I can give you is at the end of the interview, you're almost always asked the question, hey, do you have any questions for us? And a lot of people ask your typical question, like, what does a day typically consist of? Well, you can ask that, but make sure you ask this question. Look at the people interviewing you and say this. You have looked over my resume. You've spent 45 minutes or an hour interviewing me. I want you to take off your interviewer hat and put on your coach hat. Objectively, are there any red flags in my background? Are there any questions that I did not do a good job answering? Like, what industry advice can you give me so that even if I don't get this job, like just for the industry in general, what advice can you give me? That's going to accomplish two things. Number one, you're going to get really excellent advice from someone actually hiring in the field. But number two, you're going to show the person interviewing you that you are teachable. That is a quality that you cannot teach people. There's a lot of people in this field who have big egos and they feel like they need to know the answer to everything. And honestly, they suck to work with. And as a pen tester, you're in a client-facing role. If you are egotistical and you just continue to talk when you should just shut up, they're not going to hire you. If you are a teachable person, even if you're not as skilled as other people, if you come across as actually teachable, and hopefully you really are teachable, you have a much higher chance of landing that job. Hopefully that helps. And we got Digital Andrew with the 2 CAD super chat. Thank you, my friend, over in Canada. Yo, keep killing it. I appreciate you. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, let me scroll back up to the top and figure out where I was at in the other questions. Let's see. Any unpaid interns? I'm down for it. No. All right, and the reason for that, like I actually do get that question all the time, so I do want to answer it. Kairosc is not taking on any interns, even unpaid, for a few reasons. Number one, I think unpaid internships are predatory in nature. I think if you are working for an organization, you should be compensated regardless if you're an intern or not. And so I just think unpaid internship is predatory behavior, and I don't want to support it. That's part of it. The other part of it, though, is to do real internships, you need really an internship program, because the purpose of an internship is to teach that person fundamentals and specific things. So to do internships well, you need a well-developed internship program. Guys, I'm working on average about 60 to 70 hours a week right now between Hacksmarter and Kairosc. I literally don't have more capacity I can add. And for me to even take on an unpaid intern, that's going to take at least, 5 to 10 to 15 hours of work a week, depending on the week. I literally just can't do it. Like, I am tapped out on my time. I cannot add any more to my plate. I had to turn down some commitments in the beginning. Like, initially, guys, I was going to be doing teaching for TCM Security as a contractor. So their live training, I was signed on to do that. Was super excited to do it. I literally just couldn't do it without destroying myself. So I had to turn that down after saying yes, which I felt freaking terrible about it, because I don't want to be the type of person that says yes to something and then like backs out of it. But I literally could not do it. The reason I said yes is, to be blunt, I was really concerned about finances doing this solo thing. And I said yes to too many things. Same with Kaido. You may have heard of Kaido, the web proxy toolkit. They do some business to business training. I also was going to do contract work for them to do training. And I was just like, guys, I know I said yes initially, but I literally cannot do this without burning myself out. So I had to turn those things down. There's no way I can take on interns. I learned from my mistakes. I need to say yes to the only things that only I can do in it. This season of life, I'm the only paid employee for both Hacksmarter and Kairosc. I can't say yes to other opportunities right now. Sneaks by Jay said, hey, Tyler, I was a noob, even having a master's in cyber, but watching for a month made me crack almost 25 machines and make me understand the concepts clearly. Thank you. That's amazing. Dude, Sneaks by Jay, thank you so much. I'm so happy you have found my content helpful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Nijabalu, I don't know if I'm saying your name right, over on LinkedIn. I already sort of answered a similar question, so I'm going to skip that one. I'm going to go through questions quick now and hit these. Dark Trey said, so quick question. If you're on an AD assessment, you compromise a user which has outbound object control with the privileges force change password. Do you change the user's password? Generally, I do not. So what will happen in a real environment, and this is actually a really good question, Dark Trace, and this is where lab environments and real pen tests are different. In a lab environment, when you see force change password, you force change the password and then you just continue moving. In a real pen test, you generally don't want to randomly change people's passwords, because that's not going to be a good thing. So when I see a user has the force change password privilege, I will reach out to the client and let them know, hey, I have this privilege over this user. Can you create a user for me that is a clone of the user I'm targeting? And then what the client will often do is they'll create a clone of that user and then give you full access to it. So you can still enumerate and go from that as a starting point, but you don't actually change a real user's password. Is this your new office or old one? Well, I don't really have an old one. I work from home. God, you guys, don't get me started on offices. That'll be another conversation. But this, I'm at my house. I sort of kind of lost my other office. I mean, my stuff is still there. I can still work from there. But when I moved into that office, it was private. There was nobody there. Well, another business moved in to the building. So I just have like this back corner of the building. I do my separate area, like there's a door and everything, but sound travels like crazy well. Like just talking on the phone, I can hear them on the other side, and they have customers and stuff come in, and I don't want to be in my office like shouting at my camera about hacking stuff when they have customers and they can hear everything I'm saying. I also don't want to do client calls when they can hear everything I'm saying. So I have terrible luck with offices, obviously. So I don't actually know what I'm going to do. I paid for the office for the whole year. and it's owned by a friend of mine, so I don't want to come back and be like, hey, give me my money back. I also only was paying like $200 a month. And like I said, I paid him for the whole year, and he's also a small business. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm not going to ask for my money back. I'm going to let him keep it because I know what it's like trying to start a small business, but I don't know if I'll be able to work from there because it doesn't work when I stream and make content and then there's people next to me who can hear everything I'm saying. We'll see. I have terrible luck with offices. Guys, it's a sore topic in my heart. Trust me. You can ask my wife about it. I know it's something you shouldn't do, but what if that's the only way forward? I'm guessing you asked that before I answered the question. Tyler calls, I answered. That's what's up, Bruja. Hello, does your YouTube have educational videos for beginners getting started? Yeah, I have over 800 videos. Many of them are beginner friendly. You just have to do the work of finding them. If you want it laid out for you, buy a course. AD Penguin said, is after completing your web app pen testing after completing your web app pen test becomes web app pen tester confident? Okay, your question was weirded, hard for me to understand, but I think I know what you're getting at. Will you become confident doing web app pen testing? Confidence is subjective. Some people are confident when they shouldn't be, and some people aren't confident when they should be. So I can't subjectively say whether or not you will be confident as a person. All right, to be clear on that. But my web app pen testing course, if you go through it, do all the labs, record the methodology, you will be at a place where you can do a real web app pen test and do a thorough job of it. Depends if you take good notes and everything. Fossack says, I have vouchers, so many that I need to use, some of them being PT1, PMPT, and CRTO, mostly one from CTFs. I love TCM and Rasta, but should I focus on them or just ask my job to get me the OSCP? Honestly, those would be good. PMPT would be really good. CRTO would be really good if you want to do red teaming, but OSCP is the best bang for your buck, but you have the vouchers for the other ones. If nothing else, just do them for learning. Sharing because it's funny, Microsoft Notepad got RCE Vuln release today. No, they didn't. How do you get RCE in Microsoft freaking Notepad? Let's look this up together. Do you mean Notepad++? Oh no, sure enough. Improper neutralization of special elements used in a command injection in Windows Notepad app allows an unauthorized attacker to execute code over a network. How? Are you serious? Okay, I'm going to have to dig more into that. That's amazing. RCE in Notepad. Next, we're going to have RCE in Microsoft Paint, which honestly would make more sense than Notepad. That's amazing. Thank you, Alistair. I'm definitely going to dig into that later. What's up, GRC Guardrail? Can we submit blue team boxes to you? Some of our CTF team builds them for Hack the Box. I would love it, dude. Shoot me an email. I'm going to drop my email in chat, Fossax. Shoot me an email, and we'll have that conversation. So many questions, guys. First, thank you, but we eventually have to get into the hacking. All right, let me scroll. All right, Wallet Della said, excellent reminder of classic AD attack. Have you integrated golden tickets or shadow creds into your labs? Yes, to answer that question. For defense, I recommend a good fix. Okay, cool. Yeah, we have those in our labs. Yes. And guys, if you asked a question, you don't have to ask it twice. I scroll from the top, which is why I'm behind, because there's so many good questions. How do you recommend transferring from labs to pen testing, like methodology? For example, I feel like I have the knowledge of web app vulnerabilities, but how do I transfer that to a pen test? You just have to start doing pen testing. I know that's like a silly answer, but there's certain things that you just do not realize until you're doing real pen testing, especially with web apps. Web apps are massive. Now, I do try to emulate this in my course. So the coolest thing about my course here, you know what? Let me show this to you. It's coming out in 6 days. You guys can check it out yourselves. Let me go into the course real quick. One of the coolest things about my course is at the very end of the course, and you can see, like, the course is massive, guys. Like, we have all these sections all broken up. But at the very end of the course, I do have a capstone challenge. This is a massive, very real-world web app that I built. It has 27 vulnerabilities in the web app, but there are no flags for you to discover. None. I want you to find as many vulnerabilities as you can and to treat it like a real engagement. Use the methodology you learn in the course. And here's the other thing. Most courses you can't share, like it's private. Guys, I not only allow, but I encourage you. Make a video or a written report of you working through this capstone challenge and share it with the world. I'm actually very curious how long it will take for you to discover all 27 vulnerabilities in this web app, but they're vulnerabilities that you wouldn't normally, like some of them are things you wouldn't report in Bug Bounty, but you would report in web app pen testing. And I share in the course the difference between those things. But I think this will give you a very realistic experience of what an actual web app pen test is like when you work through the capstone in my upcoming course. And for those of you new, like all my courses, you don't self-host. Like my labs are hosted for you. You power them on, and then you go to the systems tab and you download the VPN. You don't have to self-host anything. I host it all for you in the cloud, aka AWS. All right, well, Lead said, solid content, perfect timing as I'm currently preparing labs on the topic to deepen my network security. Hands-on courses, affordable prices like those offered by Hacksmarter are ideal for engineers. Yes. Is there anyone in the networking industry recruiting? Just looking for people to recruit? Gotcha. Not that I know of personally, but I'm sure there are. Fosshack said, my years on the threat engineering team made my career in adversary emulation so much smoother. Spot on. Do you recommend to start on help desk or break into IT field and move up to become a pen tester? I recommend taking any IT job you can get. Whether it's help desk or something else, just take the IT job you're able to get your foot in the door. When is the launch for my web app course? Next Tuesday, February 17th, it will be releasing. 6 days away. Sumi said, what do I do if I want to get into cloud security? What certificates do you suggest? You could check out CloudGoat. There's this guy. His name is Tyler Ramsby. I've heard good things about him. But this guy named Tyler Ramsby has an entire course, an intro to AWS pen testing that will take you from beginner to intermediate level. You can either buy it at the standalone price or enroll in all access, unlocks all the courses. That's what I recommend starting with, like legit. I give you a very strong foundation and starting point as you dig into cloud pen testing. At my previous firm, I did a lot of AWS pen testing, and I do it via Kairosc as well. Okay, Waleed said, with the rise of AI tools, are you adapting your lab's guidance to prepare pen testers for hybrid threats? Do you plan to integrate scenarios or shadow AI? Yes, we do plan on integrating those in future labs. We can integrate AWS Bedrock into our VMs, which I think would be cool. So, yeah. Digital Andrew said, any plans for IoT hacking content in Hacksmarter? Digital Andrew, yes. Because you're going to make them for us. You just don't realize this yet. So, Andrew, I don't know. I don't actually know what you're able to do because I know you're under contract with TCM. So I don't know what conflict of interest stuff there is there. But, dude, honestly, if you would be open to making IoT hacking like labs or a course or content, we can chat. The tough thing, this is not just for you, but for anyone, because I get this question a lot of other people making courses for Hacksmarter. The only reason, or the primary reason I don't have courses by other people on my platform is because of the subscription. When people can get a course via subscription, it's a massive headache to try to figure out how do I properly compensate a course creator. I know TCM did this like weird calculation where it was based on like number of watch time in a month and then they divvied it out. Dude, Heath is an accountant. I'm not. I don't know. I don't even want to try to think through how to do that. So like my friend Ryan Yeager, he is creating a hack with me on DACL attacks over here. And it's going to be like pay what you can starting at $9.99, I think. So basically his agreement with me, and I wanted to make sure he's okay with it first, but what I told him was like, dude, anyone who buys your course standalone, I'll give you 100% of the revenue. Like I won't keep any of the revenue. All of the revenue I will give to you if people buy it standalone. But if they get it through a subscription, I'm not going to divvy that up because it's a headache for all of us. Also, like what's different between like TCM security, which big fan of TCM. TCM has their academy. They teach good content, but unless they change it, TCM does not have hosted labs. So for their courses, they teach you how to build your own lab environment. On Hacksmarter, all the labs are hosted for you, but that's not cheap. So guys, just for me to run Hacksmarter cost me about $2,500 a month when you add up the platform costs and the hosting costs. So I pay, regardless, $2,500 a month every single month for Hacksmarter. So trying to figure out how I divvy up the subscription to other creators, how I still pay for the platform, like it's a headache that I'm not willing to mess around with. But that's what I'm doing with Ryan. Andrew, we can talk sometime. I also pay for our standalone labs, but I don't have a lot of money to pay for those, but I do compensate people. But that's a really long answer, Andrew, to your question. My answer is yes, because whether you realize it or not, you're going to make awesome content for us. We just have to talk about it offline. All right, DT said, I appreciate the advice. I know not your specialty. I'm trying to get information from the spectrum. Got it. Oh, 0x3 security. Dude, my friend. Oh, you're at WowWest Hacking Fest. You're watching the live stream and you do the $20 super chat. You are amazing. Thank you for your generosity. He said, shout out to Tyler. I took a page from your book, Helping Small, Medium Businesses for Free with Cyber If I Can. It's sad to see people sell fear and tools and pray nothing happens to them. Big issue. They have no DMARC, SPF, etc. That's awesome, dude. Keep up the good work. I'm excited to hang out with you at DEF CON. At least I'm guessing you'll be at DEF CON. That's the next conference I'll be at. Excited to hang out. Hey, hopefully we can do some boxing together, some sparring, if we can find a spot. I have a few people who want to do some sparring / boxing, and you're one of them. So hopefully we can find a spot that we can throw our hands a little bit, have fun, but I'm looking forward to hanging out with you, and thank you for the super chat, my friend. Tyler, I want more music. I used to have music in the background during my live streams. You can see that a lot of streamers have that background music. The feedback I got is people who speak English as their primary language, they're good with the background music, but those who have ESL or English as a second or third language, they told me that when there's music playing while the YouTuber is speaking, it makes it significantly harder for them to follow. It's already hard for them to process the language. When there's music going on as well, it's even harder for them to process the language. I want to make sure that my streams are as open to as many people as possible. And if I knew how to speak other languages, I would stream in those languages. But unfortunately, I only know English and I know a little bit of like Koine Greek from the Bible, which isn't going to be helpful for most of you. So because I want my streams to be accessible to people in other countries who do not speak English as their primary language, that's legit why I don't have background music during my streams. Proxy said, is Sal 1? I've never taken the Sal 1, so I don't know. I can't answer good SOC questions, guys. I've never worked in a SOC. How long did it take you to get into pen testing? I have Network Plus, Sec Plus, EJBT, and still feel like I don't know enough. I'm a systems engineer, and I also have issues finding security analysts. Guys, my story is misleading, to be honest. I've been in IT in some capacity since 2012. My first IT job was an intern doing IT support in 2012, but then I spent 10 years in pastoral ministry. But when I was a pastor, I made no money, so I always did jobs on the side, including IT work on the side. So I've done some capacity of IT work since 2012, but then I pivoted to IT full-time in 2021. And it took me about 2 years to become a pen tester. But like, I was already super technical when I did it. So like, some ways it took me 2 years to get into pen testing, but in reality, I've been doing IT in some capacity since 2012. Are you planning for making courses such as CRTP? Guys, I don't know the acronyms. I've heard of CRTP. What is that? Certified Red Team Professional? I don't know. I don't ever plan on doing certifications. There are enough certs. I don't want to add to the certs. I just want to create good training and keep it affordable and accessible. There's not going to be a Hacksmarter cert. Now watch, in like 5 years, guys, in 5 years, Hacksmarter is going to come out the certification, and someone is going to clip this of me saying there's not going to be a Hacksmarter cert and be like, see, I knew Tyler was a freaking liar and a scammer. But no, for real, I don't ever want to do certifications. So in 10 years, when the Tyler 10 years from now ends up releasing a certification, go ahead and clip this from the live stream, and Tyler from 2026 can yell at Tyler from 2036. But as of now, no plans to make certifications. So many questions. As comp says, their part-time work in the field, There's not really part-time work for pen testing, but you can do CVE hunting and security research that will give you a really good stuff on your resume. What search do I suggest for cloud security? Do the AWS search, like legit. Do their baseline certifications, like I don't even remember what they are, but like when I was doing Azure, I have like the AZ 900 and 500 or something. Like do some of those search for those cloud providers. How do you have time for personal responsibilities with all those work hours? You know, it's a great question. When you find the answer, let me know. I'm almost to starting point. Hack the Box. I love it. I assume that you would abuse forced change password on a red team engagement. Yes. But like, here's the thing, guys. Red teaming and pen testing aren't the same thing. I know you know that, Dark Trace, but most people don't. So let me just define my terms, guys. Pen testing is a time-limited engagement. You're not focused on stealth. You're focused on finding as many vulnerabilities as possible. The blue team knows you are there. You can be noisy. A red team engagement is much longer, 3 months, 6 months, sometimes a full year. The goal is not finding vulnerabilities. The goal is goal execution. So if you're doing a red team engagement on a bank, for example, they'll say, hey, we want you to make a fraudulent transaction. Scope is wide open. Social engineering, web app pen testing, cloud, however you want to do it. You're emulating APT or an advanced persistent threat. All right. Kairosc does not offer red teaming. I used to do red teaming at my previous firm. The reason Kairosc does not offer red teaming is red team implies a team. You really do need a team of people to do a good red team, focus on different aspects. I'm the only pen tester at Kairosc. I cannot do a one-person red team. That's just not how this works. So like at Kairosc, we only do pen testing. We do not do red teaming. How's the web app course? It's awesome. It's done. It's going through QA. All right, scrolling. Would it be good to do your Windows and C2 course after the CPTS path? Yeah, I think you would find it helpful. Thank you, Nexel Security. I appreciate it. Does OffSec normally update their syllabus? They do. The OSEP, I don't know if they update that super often, but I think OffSec, guys, when I took the OSCP, it was back in 2021. I got very, very angry. 1 second. I have text messages. What are people saying? People. All right. When I went through the OSCP, I was not happy about it. I was not happy about the quality. I made a rap song about how pissed off I was at OffSec. All right. That's how unhappy I was about it. I have to give OffSec kudos. They've done a lot of work in improving the OSCP. Honestly, I think a big part of it is TCM security. TCM came out with the PMPT, and they were the first ones to teach Active Directory hacking at the beginner level. At least I think so. Maybe don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure they were. And competition is good. So the competition from TCM forced OffSec to improve the OSCP, and I think that's good for everyone. And it's a lot better now than it used to be. Watching Tyler will help you massively with methodology. Thank you. Cool to ask for a small discount for all access. I mean, I'm already giving a 43% discount on all access. It's $16 a month. I'm basically giving it to you at cost for me when you consider the hosting platform and the fees. I am going to be raising that cost, by the way, too. At least the yearly plan. The monthly plan, I'm going to try to keep at $29.99. The yearly plan is only $16 a month. I will probably, well, I don't know, guys. If Hacksmarter, to be blunt with you, if Hacksmarter was my only thing, I could not pay my bills. Because of the platform costs compared to the amount of money I make from subscriptions, it maybe generates, I don't know, $3,000 of net income or $4,000 depending on the month. It's not making a bunch of money. The reason it's not making a bunch of money is the subscriptions are like so freaking cheap. I mean, the hands-on lab one, if you want access to all of our labs, it's only about $6 a month. Like, that's not covering the cost, I assure you. The reason I'm able to do that is I'm able to essentially subsidize Hacksmarter with the work I do via Kairosc. And for a while there, Hacksmarter was actually doing better than Kairosc, but now the pen testing is really starting to pick up. And so I'm able to subsidize Hacksmarter with the work I do pen testing. So I can keep Hacksmarter cheap for you guys while I essentially subsidize it with my other business, which is Kairosc. So I don't know. Eventually, I should probably raise prices. I've been told over and over and over again I need to raise prices. If you subscribe now, you are locked in at whatever rate you subscribe to. Your prices won't go higher. So subscribe now. Don't wait. I will eventually raise prices. But for as long as I am able to, guys, I will essentially take a loss on Hacksmarter to keep it affordable and accessible, as long as I am able to pay the bills with Kairosc and doing pen testing. It's a really tough thing to balance. So just being open, transparent. I'm still trying to figure out how to balance that stuff. Is a new web app pen testing course a good supplement to studying for OSCP? It is good, but I will say, like, I cover so much more than what you need to know for the OSCP. I cover what a real web app pen test is like. For the OSCP, you just need to know, like, SQL injection and stuff. Like, it's very basic web app skills for the OSCP. What software do I use to manage clients? Something like Attack Forge. Not sure if you mentioned this before. I use Stratus Pro. This is what I use for all my reporting stuff. I have a paid sub to Stratus Pro, and I host it locally on my network. It's not like internet facing or cloud facing. So I use Stratus Pro. I did look into Attack Forge, but I don't need, like, just based on the scale of Kairosc, I don't need a special platform to manage clients. I work with one client at a time. We do not have multiple pen tests going on at once because I'm the only pen tester. So because I only work with one client at a time, and it's usually about once a month, I don't need to pay for like Attack Forge to have like project management stuff. We're just not at that scale. And I don't know if I ever want to be at that scale, honestly. It's called being a solopreneur, I think is the correct term for it, where you're the only person doing it. It's overwhelming at times. But the moment you add employees to an organization, you increase the complexity like 100-fold. Heath Adams obviously is not on the stream. So I don't know if you would agree with this. I consider him a friend. I think he's an amazing human being. He did something awesome at TCM Security. But I'd have to imagine if he was on the stream with us right now and I asked him that question, he would agree with me. That with TCM Security, it probably reached a point where, like, I can't imagine probably the stress and workload he was under when he started expanding to the scale that he expanded to having multiple employees on the pen test team, a bunch of employees on the academy, trying to do all of that. Like, dude, kudos to him for being able to do it. I would have destroyed myself, I think. I don't have the same capacity he has. And so I want to be very careful. Joe Hudson's also a good friend of mine, and he was, he's part of TCM, and he kind of gave me that warning, like telling me, Tyler, you need to make sure you grow slowly and be very careful about expanding too quickly for your own personal and mental health. So I want to take that advice seriously. So I'm trying to do this as slowly and as organically as I can while still being able to pay my bills. Let's chat. We got to do the oh, dude. Actually, I'm not going to show the package because it has your address and stuff on it, Andrew. But yes, I have it sitting on my freaking desk. We need to. Yes, let's get that scheduled, dude. Shoot me a LinkedIn message so I don't miss it. But let's get that scheduled this week. I've had it sitting on my desk. Would love to do that. I have zero IoT hacking experience, so it'll be fun for me to learn, and hopefully others learn as well. DACL course, I think we're targeting April, Firos. I do have subtitles. KT shoots all my videos, and all my courses have subtitles in multiple languages, just not during the live stream. Because during the live stream, I mean, there's probably a way to do it, but I don't know how. When the live stream is over, YouTube processes the video, and then YouTube adds the subtitles. Do you know anything about IT freelancing work on freelancer websites? I do not. I don't do that. Any tips for learning mobile pen testing? My tip is don't do it. I freaking hate mobile pen testing, guys. Android isn't bad. iOS pen testing is miserable. I used to do it. If you go to Kairosc's website, you'll notice that we do not offer mobile pen testing. That's on purpose. I never want to touch another mobile app. What about when Hack the Box wants to buy Hacksmarter? They know my position, guys. I'm good friends with Hack the Box, a lot of their team, And I've even joked with them about that. I can't share any details. There's some cool stuff that I'm working on to hopefully support Hack the Box, but they know my position. They've never approached me about buying Hacksmarter. I don't know if they've ever thought about it, but they know that Hacksmarter is not and will not be for sale. I've even joked to them that, like, if you guys want me to buy Hack the Box, we can have that conversation, but no, Hacksmarter is not going to be for sale. I could see, like, if I completely burnt myself out and just could not continue and I needed a way out, I could see me trying to sell Hacksmarter, but no, I'm not selling. I want to be founder-founded, obviously, but founder-led, and I do not want to have an organization buy me. The reason I did this, guys, this is probably a personality trait about mine that is a little bit broken. I hate, and I mean hate, I hate being an employee. I don't know what it is about it. I'm a good employee, right? But I hate it. I do not like being someone's employee. I do not like being told what I can and cannot do, what I can and cannot say, what I can and cannot create. I freaking hate it. Even my wife, ever since I was in high school, guys, I've had this issue with authority. Maybe that's why I'm a hacker, but I hate being an employee. I had a nightmare too. I've had this nightmare twice now. Just had it happen again recently, where in my dream, I'm dreaming, right? And in my dream, I'm working again at my previous firm, Rhino. I love Rhino. I love the people there. That shouldn't be a nightmare. Most people's dreams is to become a pen tester. I have nightmares that I am a pen tester working for another organization. And in my dream, I have this realization, yo, WTF, like I thought I was my own boss. How am I someone's employee again? And I get like a bad mood in my dream, and then I wake up, I'm like, oh, okay, it was just a dream. So like, I don't know what psychological trauma I have in my brain about authority, but I don't want to be someone's employee. And if someone bought Hacksmarter, generally you have to work for them for a year or 2 years. This is part of the agreement. I'm not going to agree to that. I don't want to report to somebody for good or for bad, which is probably for bad. Legit. I think it's a character flaw in me that I'm that way, but I am that way. Guys, I might have to pause the questions. We have to get into the hacking. I've been doing questions now for an hour, and I did about an hour of questions yesterday. So I think I'm going to pause the AMA right now, and so we can do the hacking. I realized I didn't get to all the questions. The way I do these live streams, for those of you who might be new, is during my live streams is also when I make my standalone videos for YouTube. And so I'll hit record over on OBS. I'm going to welcome everybody again, but that's the video that ends up on YouTube as a standalone video. I aim for about 15 to 20 minutes in those standalone videos. I used to make really long, like 2-hour videos, and I noticed no one was watching for 2 hours, or very few people are. So I try to keep my standalone videos on hacking to 15 to 20 minutes. And if we're solving a machine, I'll do it in 6 parts, and each is like a 15 to 20 minute video. In between those recordings, I do a little more AMA or Q&A, and I'll take a few more questions then. But guys, I need to take a water break. I need to go fill up my water, and then we'll do the hacking. So guys, give me like a 5-minute break, and then we're going to transition into the hacking. I'll throw some music up for you guys. Let me find some tunes. Let's listen to NF. Let me get some NF pulled up, and give me 5 minutes, and then we'll dive into the hacking. So for you as well, do some jumping jacks, get a drink of water, share the stream. I'm terrible at the freaking YouTube stuff. Like, smash the like button, subscribe, comment, share, whatever the algorithm stuff is, do all those things during this 5-minute break. Tell people that the hacking is starting in 5 minutes, but let me throw up a 5-minute break, and then I'll throw on some music for you guys, and then we'll dive into the hacking. This is a good playlist. Let me get it.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Be right back.
Hello. Knocking at my door again, begging me to come outside, let you back into my life. Now, usually I'd be strong enough to lock the doors and keep them shut, but not today, I'm desperate. So go ahead and come on in. So go ahead and come on in. So go ahead and come on in. OCD is worse than ever, hands are bleeding, maybe I should take the pills down. Know what's going on with me, some days I actually think I might be schizo. Frantic, probably not, but even writing this is making me begin to spiral, oh God. Made a promise to myself I wouldn't let the fear back in, but then I did though. Told the world that I was sick of running, then went back to running, what a joke. Disappointed, yeah, me too, I thought I finally made a breakthrough, guess not. It's the same song and dance, you've all seen it before. Darkness holds out its hand, then we walk to the floor. Every decision made isn't mine anymore. Like a puppet with strings, I just don't have a choice. What's the truth, what's a lie? Help me God, help me Lord. Face your fears, dry your eyes, grandma died. What's the point? Lost the keys, lost my hope, lost my will, lost my joy, lost a friend, lost my hope, lost my faith, lost my voice. Standing back, watching my mansion burn to ash while I hold the gas can, asking God if He started this fire. Is this what you wanted? Is this what you wanted? Make all my hopes and my dreams come to life just to lay them to rest. Is this what you wanted? Is this what you wanted? Give me a false sense of peace just to show me what peace really is. Is this what you wanted? On the verge, on the edge. Is this what you wanted? Petrified, scared to death. Is this what you wanted? Praying to God, desperate. Is this what you wanted? What you wanted? Is this what you wanted? Hanging on by a thread. Is this what you wanted? Empty heart, nothing left. Is this what you wanted? Breaking down, spiraling. Is this what you wanted? What you wanted? Is this what you wanted? Is this what you wanted? My head is this what you wanted? To ash. Is this what you wanted? What you wanted? Is this what you wanted? The gas is this what you wanted? Is this what you feel? Started. Is this what you wanted? What you wanted? Yeah, I'm starting to wonder if I lost the hunger.
What's up, noobs? Good to be back, guys. Hopefully you had a good 5-minute break. Dude, 20 people left during the 5-minute break. Those 20 people were losers, all right? The cool people are still here. That's you guys. Those 20 people, clowns, y'all. They only come for the Q&A. They don't stay for the hacking. They're not real fans. They're not members of Hacksmarter. They're just on the circle. But you guys are the cool ones, guys and gals. Hey, let me answer MVCat Block's question real quick because it's about Hacksmarter. They said, hey, Tom, I'm looking at purchasing years access to Hacksmarter. Am I correct in thinking you said if you buy access, you get access to your notes, note structure for OSCP? Sort of. So with all access, McLovin said, I left and came back. Clipped. That's fine. Share it. Let's get me canceled. Actually, I don't think that would get me canceled, but we can try to cancel me. If you buy all access, you get access to all my content, including my Hack With Me's. In the Hack With Me's, I share my custom notes for the labs that we are working on. But what you might be thinking about is like 3 years ago or 4 years ago, I had a OneNote notebook. And that OneNote notebook is what I used when I took the OSCP. A lot of the notes are from when I went through TCM stuff, when I solved machines on Hack the Box, Try Hack Me. I used to give away that notebook just for free. I still get requests. They're like, hey, Tyler, can you give me your OneNote notebook? Guys, it doesn't exist, or at least that I know of. I don't use that anymore. I have Notion. So I don't even have that OSCP notebook anymore. If I had it, I'd give it to you for free. One question on Blue Team, is it hosted or is it Artifacts? It's hosted. We host a Splunk instance for you. You do all your investigation from the Splunk instance. It is not like Sherlock's where you download stuff and have to spin it up. It's all hosted for you via Splunk. You download a VM and then you connect to the Splunk server. Guys, I apologize. I have one more thing. What's up, Kish and InfoSec? Guys, I'll be live today and tomorrow. Friday I won't be, but then next week I'll be live almost every day. Give me a moment. You could recreate it and use it as a selling point. I'd still probably just give it away. I suck at actually selling stuff, if you can't tell. Guys, I have a sponsored segment that I have to play. If I don't play this sponsored segment, I can't live stream. The sponsors are very strict. Whoops, don't want the video to start. The sponsors are very, very strict about this, that if I don't play this video, I cannot live stream. So I do need you guys to watch this video. It's only about 40 seconds long by the sponsors of today's stream, and then we'll dive into the hacking. I need to go ahead and share the right screen, though. So once again, I apologize. These two people in this video, they're very strict about this, and I don't want to get in trouble with the sponsors, okay? So you guys will laugh. Here we go. This video is brought to you by this organization. I'll turn down my mic so you guys can hear it. When you're at the table, your kids have all kinds of questions.
How do babies get inside someone's tummy? Does chocolate milk actually come from a chocolate cow?
But there's one question that you can keep coming back to.
What are we having for dessert? Girl cookies! Delicious. Delicious. Girl Scout cookies are for sale. The link is in the description.
Gosh dang it. Sorry. Thank you, Thicola, for telling me I'm muted. Anyways, what I was going to say, if you guys do want to support my daughter, I just dropped a link to her Girl Scout thing. That commercial was scripted by them, not me. So my daughter made most of the script. I just helped them record and edit it. Obviously, they didn't edit the video and then throw it out there. But we go door to door. We did like 2 hours of going door to door on Monday when Girl Scout cookie season kicked off. But it's something we do every year. This is our 4th year making our Girl Scout commercial. So she started in kindergarten. We made the first commercial then, but both of my kids help. My son is not a girl, obviously. He asked me if he can be a Girl Scout. Unfortunately, you can't, but he's like an honorary Girl Scout. So if you guys like the stream, maybe instead of a super chat this time, you should just go buy cookies or donate cookies, which would be awesome. And you would make my kids' day. I know audio is back. I muted myself, guys. I know what I did wrong. All right, now that we got our sponsors out of the way, I need to grab the right application. Here we go. It's funny. Everyone's like, I can see the ones that are very delayed from the live stream because there's still people saying no audio. And that was like 4 minutes ago. If you're still saying no audio, you should refresh your thing. You're way behind the actual live. I think Twitch is probably the closest to the actual live stream as far as when it's actually happening. All right, let me go ahead. I'm going to stop sharing because like I said before, I don't actually remember if I've solved this lab yet. And I don't want to leak the flag right away. No, I haven't. Okay, cool. I have not even launched this lab. You can see we have a lot of community walkthroughs. So if you get stuck, you can check these out. It looks like it's an assume breach scenario. So we have all that. Before I start recording from YouTube, I'm just going to go ahead and get the machine launched. The AD machines do take about 3 or so minutes to start up to get all the services online. So you don't want to start scanning right away. So let me go ahead and boot up the machine. We'll give it a few minutes. We'll get our notes ready to go. And then I'll start recording for OBS. Because you're taking a percentage of the money. I don't take any percentage of the Girl Scout cookie money. Where's the link to the cookies here? Let me grab it again. The Girl Scout organization takes a big percentage of it. I don't remember the percentage share, but whatever we raise in our local troop, that money is then used to fund Girl Scout activities. So like we do a big camping trip in the summer and some other fun events, and all of that is funded by those cookie sales. There we go. So it's an ad. Yes. Oh, wait, I just dropped the YouTube link. I didn't mean to drop it, but Jesse, oh, you found it. Sweet. If you click the YouTube link I just dropped as well, it's in the description of that video. I meant to drop the link itself, but I accidentally just dropped the YouTube link. Anyways, if you want to follow along, I recognize that you may not have been here the past hour doing our AMA in the beginning, but if you want to follow along, join the Hacksmarter platform. Either all access or hands-on labs. Either one will give you access to the labs. And if you scroll down to our hands-on labs, the one that we are doing is this welcome machine right here. So I'll drop a link to this in chat. And I do see questions. Guys, for those of you, while it's booting up, answer please. Because you said please. Currently pursuing CPTS and looking at the job market. I'm not sure I'll land up a job or not as a fresher. Any projects? Yes. CPTS is good. OSCP is going to be better. If you can't afford that, they'll get CVEs. I have a bunch of videos on my YouTube channel on CVE hunting. I think I have 12 CVEs now. Find some CVEs and open source projects that are actually used. Report them to the vendor. Get a CVE on your resume. So cert, CVE, and start building your own platform, a YouTube channel, blog. That's my recommendation. When I found your CVEs, have you used any sort of AI tool? No. Actually, I think when I was doing my initial CVE hunting, ChatGPT wasn't even a thing. Or it was the very beginning stages. It wasn't as advanced as it is now. But no. I did not use AI to find my CVEs. It was all manual hunting and enumeration and looking at code and all that fun stuff. You could probably automate some of that now. But be careful on being overly reliant on some of those tools. Anyways, if you want to follow along, I dropped the link here. Let me go ahead and get on the VPN. So you do need to be on the VPN. You can see I have the instructions here. After launching the machine, click the Systems tab and download the VPN. Click Systems, download VPN. Did we didn't do a part 1 of this machine, did we? Maybe I was testing something on the machine. But anyways, let's jump on the VPN. Down to the most recent one. Oh, you know what? When new machines release, I jump on stream and I introduce the machine. And when I do that, I showcase the initial access. That may have been what that was from. Anyways, to do that VPN, I'm going to name this one Terminal, jump over to Hacksmarter, make a new directory for welcome, and CD over to the welcome. Zoom in so you guys can see it better. And I just want to see if we have connection to the machine before I don't. Okay, cool. We have a ping on the machine, which tells me Windows Firewall. It's probably not enabled because by default it drops those packets. And I think it was an easy rated machine. Yeah, so that's probably why we're not going to do a bunch of AV evasion and such on here. But okay. You ended up finding one during a pen test? No, so I found most of my CVEs came from a project called Silverpiece. I made a try hacking machine based on the CVEs I found called Silver Platter. I actually had about a 2-week research period. I was in between pen tests, and I was just like, hey, I'm going to find some CVEs. So I just took 2 weeks of research and found 8 or 9 CVEs, but you can find the video on my YouTube channel. Bruja said, I did a write-up for this machine. If you use it and have tips to be better, find me in the Discord. Nice. If I remember, I don't know if we'll finish the machine today. Probably not, because I break it up into different parts. But whenever we finish it, if I remember, we'll all take a look at your write-up and give some feedback. All right. Let me go ahead and start recording for the YouTube people after the fact. What's up, Kimberly Can Fix It? Good to see you. Let me check this as well. I have a Slack message. So let me just make sure it's nothing super important. Oh, it's a core stack. What do they got to say? All right. Let's start recording. Finally to the hacking, ladies and gentlemen. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. In this video, this is going to be part 1 of working through the welcome machine on the Hacksmarter platform. This is an easy rated Active Directory lab, and if you are prepping for an exam like the OSCP or the PMPT, I think this lab would be great prep for you. Now, I don't actually remember, but I don't think I've solved this machine before. A lot of the machines that release on the Hacksmarter platform, of course, I started the platform, but we have a volunteer QA team that is amazing, and they are the ones who go through most of these labs. So as we work our way through it, I'm going to do my best to give you my full methodology, my note-taking process, and basically join me. We're hacking this together. And if you don't already, well, you should join the Hacksmarter platform. I don't know what you're doing with your life. We are the best platform for learning ethical hacking. Subs are super affordable, but then you can hack right alongside of me. All that being said, let's go ahead and dive in. So what I've already done is I have launched the machine and I jumped on the VPN. So if you haven't done that, make sure you do it. If you're new to the platform, after you launch the machine, you'll be probably on this chapter view. You want to click systems and download VPN config, and then your typical, sudo open VPN, blah, 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 to connect to the VPN. But let's go ahead and see what we are dealing with. Also, shout out to all of these people. This has to be some of the most walkthroughs we have for a machine. All of our machines have amazing walkthroughs by the community, but this one has a bunch. So all of the people here, kudos to you. Appreciate you submitting walkthroughs and helping other people learn. So what is our objective? What is our scope? Well, we are a member of the Hacksmarter Red Team. During a phishing engagement, you are able to retrieve credentials for the client's AD environment. It's actually super common. Anytime I do social engineering, I'm generally able to get some credentials for AD. Use these credentials to enumerate the environment, elevate your privileges, and demonstrate impact for the client. So we are doing an assume breach scenario. We have eHills and I love my job 2025. The same password I use for my bank account and everything. Let me go ahead and start our notes. I'm just going to do an H1 and we'll just say enumeration. And I'm just going to drop a code block up here to include our starting credentials. So we have that information in our notes. What I like about Notion, and I just use the completely free version of Notion to take notes. So everything you see me when it comes to note taking, you're able to do as well. You don't have to pay anything, but you can add a table of contents. I've noticed Notion is sometimes a little bit laggy from my Linux VM, but we can add a table of contents to keep track of what we are working on. So we'll do our H1 for enumeration, and underneath enumeration, I'm going to drop our Nmap scan, and I'll do a code block as a placeholder for Nmap. Let's go ahead and see what services are running on this machine. I'm going to grab the IP here, jump over to this. Now, you can use Nmap. I like to use RustScan on stream simply because it teaches the methodology. The syntax, not teaches. The syntax is easier to remember. For a real network pen test, I generally use Nessus for my initial scans, but Nessus is stupid expensive, so I don't expect you to use Nessus just to solve a lab environment. But in real-world AD pen testing, I usually kick things off with Nessus. Hey, thank you, Kimberly, for buying the Girl Scout cookies. You are amazing. You are today's stream's MVP. All right, let me go ahead and kick this off. We'll do rustscan -A, and then we just need to specify our target. We don't know the domain. We just know the IP right now. And then we're going to do this, and I'll explain what's going on. So the first part about this scan is we're telling rustscan, hey, rustscan, I want you to hit this target IP, and let's find any ports that are open. And the cool thing about what rustscan is able to do is we're able to take that and then pass it over to our friend Nmap. So we use both rustscan and Nmap in this one-liner. What we're then saying is saying, hey, once you find those open ports, rustscan, I want you to actually take those open ports and pass them over to Nmap. And then we're saying, hey, Nmap, what we want you to do is run the -A flag on every single open port. If you know your Nmap flags, you know -A means throw all the enumeration scripts at it. Let's see what services are running. Let's see what versions are running. Let's see what information we're able to find about our target. So it's a very simple one-liner to remember that gives you some solid enumeration as you kick off your scans. Thank you, It's Mimo. I love you as well. Appreciate the content. Oh, you love my content. You don't love me. Well, I love your content as well. It looks like it's going to take a little bit, which generally when you're doing a full scan of a domain controller is going to take a while, but a few things that we can point out right away. We know that this is an AD machine because it was labeled as an AD machine. I think it also says it in the description, the client's AD environment. But if we did not know that, we can tell just based on the port scan that we're likely attacking a domain controller. There's a few giveaways. One, we see DNS running on port 53, so a good indicator might be a domain controller. We have Kerberos running as well. We have SMB running, but SMB can run on just a typical Windows server, so not a total giveaway. We also see LDAP running on some of these other ports, secure LDAP. No, that's just regular LDAP, I think. But LDAP running. Do we have RDP running. We have WinRM running. So we know this from the lab objective or scenario, but one big takeaway, if we didn't already know that, just based on the ports that are open, we can tell that this is an AD environment and we are likely targeting the domain controller itself. I'm going to go ahead and let those scans continue to run because they're probably going to take a while to go through. If I can type scans. But one thing that we'll want to do is we have credentials that we were able to discover through phishing. Remember, it says during a phishing engagement, we were able to retrieve creds for the client's AD environment. Now, sometimes when you receive credentials from phishing, those credentials are no longer active by the time you actually use them in the AD environment. So let's see if these credentials work. Otherwise, maybe we'll have to modify this from 2025 to 2026 as a typical end user would. But let's go ahead and see if these credentials are valid for the AD environment. The way that we can do that is we can use netexec. So do netexec and we can just check SMB to see if we can read any shares. So do netexec SMB and then we have to pass it in the IP or the target. So I'm going to grab that right there. We'll paste that in and then -U for our user. And our user is ehills. Like so. -P for our password. I'm not going to type this out because I will definitely type it wrong. My cat has come back to hang out on the stream. So my cat wants to be part of the stream. Everyone say hi to the hacker cat. Let's grab that password there. Paste in the password and we can just do --shares to see if we're able to read any shares. Maybe. Hey, Tyler, with notes, do you mean the same thing as a hacking cheat sheet? Would love to see something from your cheat sheet if you still have one. Yeah, sort of. I use my notes as my cheat sheet. Took a while. I don't know why it took a minute for it to hit that. But when we do this, we are able to confirm that the credentials are valid for the ehills user. And let me ask you guys, especially those of you watching in the live stream, if you're watching after the fact, you can pause and think about it as well. When you're looking at the results of our netexec, is there anything interesting here that you think would be worth digging into? Let me know what you guys see over in the live stream. There's like almost 80 of you. So there's now 81 of us doing this engagement. This is a full like red team. Oh, not Mmap. I'm going to do another H2. And we'll say SMB and just show that we do have access to that. So anyways, looking at this, what stands out to you guys that might be worth digging into? HR share, exactly. Yeah, so anytime you see a share that is uncommon, what I mean by uncommon is not your typical standard share that you see on a server. So like sysvol, netlogon, oppc, we might be able to find some stuff there. But if you see a non-standard share, such as human resources, that's always going to be worth digging into. Especially if you're on a CTF or an exam, it's a good indicator that, hey, this might be the way forward. So we're going to want to dig into that. And I'm just going to add a note here. Well, we can make a to-do list. You know what? Let's make a to-do list. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. I think we do /to-do. There we go. Enumerate the human resources share. So we'll add that to our to-do list. Also, I think our IMAP scan might be done. So let's check out our scan. And it is. So I'm going to grab a few pieces of information from our scan and add that to our notes as well. So I'm going to copy all of this. It seems like a lot because it is a lot. We have about a search in there. I wonder if we're going to do any ADCS misconfiguration abuse type stuff based on just initial glance. All right. What information do we have from here? Well, number one, we can see the name of the host that we are attacking is dc01.welcome.local. What we want to do right now is add that to our etc host file on Linux. Often when you're attacking Active Directory, you want to make sure you specify the IP and the host name of the domain controller because it will make your tools easier to work with as they resolve things, and often that's a requirement for a lot of the tools to work properly. So let's go ahead and do that. etc host is a file on Linux. It is how your Linux machine resolves IPs and host names. So I'm going to do sudo nano etc host. And let's go ahead and add that. Now, from when I was testing, did I add that to this? I want to make sure I don't see it anywhere here. And I don't. Okay, cool. So we need to grab the IP. Grab the IP here. Drop it in here, and then we want to grab the name of the domain controller. We'll go like that, and we'll also want to specify welcome.local as the domain. Control X, Y, enter. That part is done. So we already have a little bit of information that we didn't have before. We know the name of the host, and we know the domain itself is welcome.local. See if there's anything else that stands out to me here. We see LDAP. We already knew LDAP was there. We could do some LDAP enumeration maybe, but because we have initial access already with SMB, we can dump users and do things that way. RDP, we already knew that. All right, and we have SMB here. The other thing I want to do with SMB, before even enumerate the human resources share, is I want to dump users. So I'm going to I'm trying to think of the best way to do this. Well, let's just dump it. We'll see if there's anything actually interesting here. In a real engagement, we want to record all the users because we might use them later on. But also in a real engagement, I have seen this multiple times on real internal pen testing. When we dump the users, system admins and IT support teams have a bad habit of storing passwords in a user's description in AD. And when you dump their user information, you're able to see that. So from here, we're able to dump users because we do have initial access. And there's nothing huge that stands out to me. I do see 2 service accounts. We see a CA and a SVC web. So if I had to guess, eventually we're going to abuse an ADCS vulnerability after we compromise one of those service accounts. That's just my guess. We'll see if I'm right later on in the machine. I'm going to go ahead and do, we'll keep it underneath SMB, I guess. Because technically we're using SMB to dump those users, but just showing that we were able to dump the users. In the descriptions, we can see that iPark is an IT intern. We can see SVC Web is a web server in progress, but we don't have any passwords and such being stored in users' descriptions in AD. So nothing more to really add to our to-do list. We'll eventually probably enumerate these service accounts, but for now, we're going to want to dig into the human resources share. We're also going to run Bloodhound and pay close attention to the service accounts. Anytime you see a service account in the real world or in a lab environment, this is going to be something worth digging into. What's up, Jaso? At this point, I can say anything I want and nobody can do anything about it. Kidnap. I have no idea what you're talking about, but we'll go with that. Hat, glasses, shirt. All right, how am I doing on time in the recording? We're at 13 minutes. Cool. Let's dig into this human resources share and see what is there. We can use SMB client to do so. I think it's SMB client. We're going to do dc01.welcome.local, and then we want to specify the share of human resources. My syntax here might be wrong. I don't actually remember the correct syntax. I always have to look up SMB client. I think we're going to do e-hills, and then we're going to do this weird percentage thing, and then specify the user's password, I think. Thank you, Cerulean Cyber. I appreciate you. Oh, wait, you're the guy that we met with yesterday. Okay, that's why Cerulean Cyber was clicking in my head when I saw the name. My friend, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. And yes, I'm glad you enjoyed the content. Hopefully you come to the meetup on Sunday. We'd love to have you join us for the Hacksmarter meetup. Anyways, I believe this is the syntax for SMB client. We'll see what I did wrong. And I actually didn't do anything wrong. That's amazing. I almost always screw up something with SMB client. But you can see, since we do have initial credentials here, we have the eHills user. What we just did is we authenticated to that share that we saw was open. So if we go back over to our netexec results, we could see that human resources had read permissions. And now we can do dir and see if there's anything interesting here. And we have a bunch of PDFs. So we have a welcome 2025 holiday schedule, welcome benefits, welcome handbook excerpts, welcome performance review guide, and a welcome start guide. Now we could download each of these. All right, sorry, Kat, you got to get off my lap now. You'll be there. Awesome. Sweet. I'm looking forward to it. And thank you again, my friend, for the meeting yesterday. It was awesome meeting you. Anyways, when we look over at all our PDFs here, we could download each of them. I'm going to begin with what I think is going to be the most interesting. And I do want to point out, for those of you who want to do real world pen testing, you run into this a lot. You would be surprised how often on an AD engagement that I can get domain admin just by looking at shares, right? The sysadmins, I mean, I used to be on the blue team. Active Directory is massive in a real world organization. Scripts are often stored in different shares. And even as a low privilege user or no privileges, just network access with guest or anonymous access, you can read a bunch of different shares. And if you just go through those different shares, you can generally find passwords that you can spray at the AD environment. So when you're doing a CTF real lab and you're enumerating SMB looking for information, that is not CTF-y. That is actually very real world from what you will see when you're doing actual pen testing. But we have this welcome start guide. Let's go ahead and download that like so. And we're in Hacksmarter Welcome. I'm just going to open up a new tab. We have it there. We'll open it up in our file browser thingy. Is it just open actually? That might just be all we have to do. Ooh, it's password protected. That is interesting. So we'll want to make a note of that. There's multiple different ways we might be able to bypass it. But when we try to open it, it does prompt us for a password. What I like to use for screenshots is what's called Flameshot. So I'm going to open up Flameshot and let's just show everything that we did here, right? So we ran the open command and you can see that a password is required. And I have a feeling we may have identified what we want to dig into, but we're going to have to crack that password first. So where should I drop this at? Maybe right here. I'll do an H3 and I'll just call it digging into human resources share. Like so. And let's drop our screenshot in there. We definitely don't need to be this large. We'll make it a little bit smaller just so we can document as we go. And also, once again, this is what I like about Notion. This is just the free version of Notion, but it gives you a nice table of contents as you make your headers. So when we come back to this machine, we can easily look at this and see what we are able to do. But we are at the 18-minute mark on the actual recording itself. So I think we are at a good stopping point for the YouTube side of things. For those of you in the live stream, don't go anywhere. We're going to continue live streaming. But if you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, this concludes part 1 of working through the welcome machine on the Hacksmarter platform. But hey, I want to give you a challenge. Before you watch part 2, this is what we're dealing with. we found a welcome start guide.pdf. Now, I should have shared why that's interesting to me. Often when you're looking at a guide like that, it may have an IT component in it where it might share the organization's default password. If you can get an organization's default password and spray that at the users, there's a good chance of compromising another user. I am not joking. I was on an internal pen test. I had the default password. I changed one character of the default password, sprayed it at the users, and I compromised an IT account that was a domain admin account. So just by taking a default password, modifying it slightly, I fully compromise the domain. So don't overlook those kinds of things. And when I see something like welcome start guide.pdf, that tells me, hey, this might be used for new employee onboarding. We might be able to find a default password they initially set up, and maybe we can modify that just a little bit. So we found a PDF that looks interesting. Unfortunately, or fortunately for the client, it is password protected, but there are different ways that you might be able to pull the hash out of there and then crack the hash. So that's the challenge I want to give you. Before you watch the next part, I want you to try to do this, see if you can crack the hash, see if you can get access to the PDF, and see what information you are able to find. So try it on your own first for your own learning. If you get stuck, that is totally fine. Then join me in part 2, and we'll continue working through this lab together. Boom. All right. Now I'm just live with you guys, so I will take like maybe 10 minutes to do Q&A. We already did an hour of Q&A in the beginning, but if you have questions about careers, pen testing, cybersecurity, feel free to ask them. I'm just going to grab this video we just recorded on my host machine and drag it to the correct folder so it's ready to be uploaded to YouTube. And then we're going to start recording part 2. Let's see, publish, grab all these, paste, and this was welcome part 1. And while we have over 90 people right now, y'all, on the 3 different platforms. So those of you who maybe just joined midstream, hello, my name is Tyler. We are live right now on 3 different platforms. You can join on whichever one works best for you, but I'm live on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitch. On YouTube and LinkedIn, I just stream under my name, Tyler Ramsby. On Twitch, I stream under the name Hack_Smarter, the founder of 2 organizations, Hacksmarter. We have hands-on labs and courses that you can actually afford in the field of ethical hacking. Go to hacksmarter.org to check it out. And Kairosc, it is a pen testing firm that I started and I run, but we do all sorts of pen testing. So if your organization needs a pen test, let me hack you before the real bad criminals hack you. Would love to work with your organization. Reach out and we can jump on a call and have that conversation. Would you consider JWT stored in local storage to be a finding on a pen test? I mean, it depends on the context, but maybe, a big maybe there. If anything, maybe an informational, but it's technically stored insecurely. I wouldn't consider an actual vulnerability, but maybe an informational on the report. When will more AD machines release on Hacksmarter? I'm generally hooked with machines. Guys, let me show you the release schedule, okay? I dropped this on LinkedIn yesterday, and it's pretty insane when you look at it. Let me grab this and I'll show it to you real quick. And most of them are AD machines, but we have labs, you know, AD, web, Linux, Windows, AWS. Our first Blue Team lab is launching tomorrow, which is amazing. So if you like Blue Team, our first Blue Team one is launching tomorrow. Let me grab this release schedule that I dropped on LinkedIn real quick. And then I'll share my screen. All right, I have to, actually, no, it would be easier. Let me go to this. I'm just going to grab a screenshot of it. Instead of having to keep switching between my host machine and my lab machine, I'll just grab a screenshot and I'll drop it in the notes for a second. Maybe. So here is the current release schedule for Hacksmarter. I'll ignore the bad quality. I also censored, of course, the authors' names because sometimes it has their emails and such, and I don't want to give away too much about the authors, but basically all of our machines are submitted by the community. We have a heavy focus on realism, so we do have a QA process the machines have to go through before they release, but we're always looking for more people to contribute. So if you want to contribute either a red team or a blue team machine, reach out to me. I'm going to drop my email in the chat. But this is just through June. So we have a lot of machines. Source Leak is that machine that releases tomorrow. My web app Pentesting course releases on Tuesday. We have this cool Get Oops machine. I believe this is a Linux machine. Ignore this one. We're swapping some things around. This one needs a title. The name of the machine is not needs title. I literally took this out of our QA stuff. So that one still needs a title. I don't remember if it's AD or not. City Council is an AD one. I have my Hack With Me AD Volume 3 coming out. Playbook, I think, is AD. Dark Haven is going to be a range with 6 different kind of AD environments connected together. Nexus, I think, is AD. I don't remember about Samurai. Threat Hunt will be a blue team one. Sideload is either AD or Windows. Shadowgate, I believe, is AD. Martini is, of course, going to be AD. Data Secrets is AWS. NovaCart, I don't remember. Past is either Windows or AD. Hexcare, I don't remember. Dark, I don't remember. Fragments, I don't remember. Shadowgate 2, I think, is AD. Sysadmins is Linux, I think. It's hard for me to keep track of this, but it's a lot to balance. It's a lot to keep straight. There's actually more machines that I realized after I shared the screenshot aren't included in the screenshot. So there's even more content coming out. But once again, Hacksmarter, super affordable. You should become a subscriber. We're always releasing new content. All of our content has a heavy, heavy focus on realism. I hate CTFs. I hate the silly, puzzly CTFs. All of our content is realistic, things that you will actually see in the real world on a real engagement. Let me go ahead and delete this. I'm glad you enjoyed the AD machines as well. Act Chat, if I'm saying that correct. Well, ladies and gentlemen, shall we make part 2? I'll give you guys, if anyone has another question, my mouth is dry from talking. I've been talking for an hour and 45 minutes. If anyone else has a question, feel free to ask it. Otherwise, we'll start diving into the hacking. Let's go. All right. One more drink. Guys, see how much water I drink? I don't know if you've ever tried talking for just like 2 hours. Also, before I streamed, I had an hour-long meeting. So I've really been talking for like 3 hours now at this point. It's a lot of talking. Let's record part 2, though. Once again, for those of you new, during my live streams is when I make my standalone content for YouTube. So in just a moment, I'm going to hit record over on OBS. I'm going to welcome everybody again who are watching this after the fact on YouTube. A little bit weird because I already welcomed you, but you get to be in the live studio audience. So thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out for the live stream. This will be the last recording that we do in today's stream because I'm all talked out, but I will be live again tomorrow. Friday, I have a bunch of meetings, and then I'm taking the afternoon off to hang out with my kids. Same with Monday. I'm taking Monday off to hang out with my kids because I have it off from school. But next week, I'll be live outside of Monday every single day working through labs. So if you enjoy this type of content, then we'll be here. What's in the water? Just regular water. Just literally water out of my sink. Nothing special. Awesome. Thank you, Kishin InfoSec. And you, Kishin, you still need to tell me what Girl Scout cookies you want. I will get you a box and I will bring it to the meetup on Sunday. Which, I don't know if this applies to anyone here. I know there's a few of you here who are from the Sioux Falls area. I live in South Dakota. There's not many people who live here. There are more cows than people, I'm almost certain. But I live near our biggest city, which is Sioux Falls. And I realize there's a handful of us from Hacksmarter who live within driving distance of Sioux Falls. So I'm hosting a meetup this Sunday in Sioux Falls, and Kairosc is buying the drinks and the food for everyone. So if you live in the Sioux Falls area, or if you want to come to the meetup, I don't know, there might be 4 to 8 of us maybe. No idea what to expect, super low key. But hey, if you live within driving distance of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, I would love to meet you and would love to hang out with you. So shoot me an email and I'll share the details with you. How do you manage your time? I don't know, dude. I got a lot going on. I do have a video on that. Almost makes me want to move there. Almost. Jaso says, it's a trap. Jaso will be there. All right. Let me go ahead and start recording. This will be part 2. Oh, 1 second. Let me actually adjust this real quick. Oh, come on, dumb thing. 1 second. I'm adjusting. An OBS setting. All right. Now we're good. If you don't mind living where the cold air burns your face, it isn't too bad. Exactly. All right, here we go. Let's record. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. This is part 2 of working through the Welcome Active Directory Lab on the Hacksmarter platform. And like I said, this is part 2. So if this is the first video that you are watching, I would recommend going back to part 1 so you are not lost. But either way, you will learn a bunch. And hey, you'll learn a bunch by watching me. Guess what? You learn even more by hacking alongside of me. So if you haven't already, subscribe to Hacksmarter, launch the Welcome Lab, and get your black hoodie. And let's go ahead and dive into the hacking for today. So at the end of part 1, we found an interesting PDF called welcomestartguide.pdf. The reason that's interesting is a lot of organizations will have onboarding experience in a welcome guide from human resources, and occasionally you'll be able to find a default password in that guide. We tried to open it, and you can see that password was required. This is something that you will run into in the real world, but also super common on exams. So if you're studying for like the PMPT, OSCP, CPTS, what I'm going to teach you is something you do want to make note of. When you see a PDF that is password protected, we can actually pull the hash out with John and then try to crack the hash. Also, I'm going to jump over to our lab environment. I'm going to go to welcome, actually go here. Our lab machines do shut down after 2 hours if there's no like interaction on the lab page, but just scrolling around will reset that timer. I realize the timer's not here. It's on our to-do list to actually make that a little more clear, but I just want to make sure my machine doesn't shut down. Anyways, we have, if I do ls, we have our welcome start guide. There is a tool, I believe it's called PDF to John, isn't it? It is PDF to John. I don't remember the syntax, and freaking Kali Linux probably broke something. If I just do PDF to John, will it work? Oh, it does work. I was trying to do -H for help, but I think it was just trying to accept an argument there, and you just need to pass it the argument of what you're trying to do. And you can see when I run PDF to John against welcome start guide, we get this hash right here. What I'm going to do is copy that, and I'm going to do nano hash.text. I'm going to go ahead and paste it in, and I'm going to do John for John the Ripper. I usually use Hashcat, but I think you need to use John for these type of hashes. Geez, what is the syntax for John? Is it John? I need to look at help. Hashcat, you just specify the hash, then specify the word list. Okay, so John, we give it our password files, and then we have to specify our word list. Got it. So I'm going to do John hash word list equals user share word list rocku.text. And I think that is the correct syntax. I just realized I didn't add that stuff to our notes. So let me jump over to our notes and show how we crack the hash. So first we did zip to John on the PDF. I'll just do a placeholder for the PDF, and then we saved it. We'll add some notes here. First, pull the hash from the PDF, and then, geez, what is going on? Save to a separate file, and we did nano hash.text, and then attempt to crack with John. And we will drop the syntax there. And oh, wow, the password is human resources. Beautiful. Easy enough. You'd be surprised how often that's the case in the real world where it's something simple like that. But now we can go ahead and show us cracking the hash. So the password for the file is, ladies and gentlemen, human resources. So now we can do open on that file, and I'm going to type human resources. Let's just remember forever and unlock the document. Wow. Wasn't it PDF to John? What did I call it? Did I do it wrong in my notes? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Zip to John is a different one. I meant PDF to John. Thank you. Here is our welcome start guide. Welcome to, dude, welcome. Okay, I'm not going to dox the person. Because there's someone in the live stream who lives in a town called Welcome, and I immediately thought of you because I drove through that town once on a road trip, and I saw a sign that was like "Welcome to Welcome." That's what this document reminds me of. Okay, never mind. You doxed yourself. All right, we'll go with that. Yes, JSO lives in a town called Welcome. Welcome to Welcome. This short HR guide contains the most common onboarding steps and important information to get new employees started quickly. This document is for internal use and is placed on the company's shared drive for convenience. Haha. Exactly what I was thinking. Your initial account will be created by IT and placed in the corporate directory. We have our temp/default password. On first login, you must change this password immediately. So, there's a good chance that if we try 2026 or something, first we'll try to spray this, and if that doesn't work, we'll try 2026, and I bet we'll figure out a way to get in. If we're unable to log in, contact the help desk. HR documents are in the shared drive. Service accounts are for IT services. Do not attempt to use or change these accounts unless authorized. But we're hackers. Security best practices, common contacts. All right, cool. Well, let's grab a screenshot of this. We have our temporary default password like so. And we'll just drop that here. So what pieces of information do we have so far? Well, we have a valid user in the system, eHill, I think, if my memory serves me correct. And now we have a default password that we might be able to spray. We also have a list of users up here, but we can make our list of users much easier with netexec. I always forget the netexec syntax. I don't know why that popped up. Let me jump over to this and go to the netexec wiki. But basically, we'll do our previous command where we dropped all the users, but we can output it to a user's file, and then we'll be able to use that user's file for password spraying. I just don't remember the exact syntax. All right, we don't need to enumerate users with brute force RID. Enumerate shares, not logged in users. I mean, I guess we can do RID brute forcing, but am I blind? Or if I just go like that. Enumerate logged on users, execute, no. Change user password, no. Enumerate domain users. Here we go. So it's users export, and then we save output.txt. I got you. Oh, it's for LDAP. All right, that's fine. You can also do it with SMB, but I don't remember the syntax. So we'll do netexec LDAP dc01.welcome.local. Our user of, was it eHill, I think? And our password, we got to double check this. Yes, eHills. eHills with an S. All right, let me go to eHills with an S, not a 2. I don't know how to spell. Let's drop in his password, and then, what was it, user export? Users export, and we'll just call it users.txt. All right, there we go. And then we successfully exported all the users. So let's grab this for our notes as well. I'm going to do another we'll do an H3, and we will say this password spraying with HR password that we were able to find. And first we created our user list, so I'll include the syntax for that. I don't know why I have a long space in between that, but we'll go with it. But now we have our list of users. And the cool thing with netexec is it makes it super easy for us to do password spraying. Now, huge warning here. If you're on an actual AD pen test, you want to make sure you read the password policy before you do password spraying, and you want to limit your password spraying. Most AD environments will lock accounts after 3 or 5 or 10 invalid logins, and you do not want to be the pen tester who locks out every single user in the AD environment. Don't be that person, all right? In a lab environment, it's a little bit easier. We can do password spraying safely, but just know in a real world AD environment, be careful when and how often you do password spraying because you don't want to lock out accounts. We can do netexec smb dc01.welcome.local-u. We're going to specify that user file that we just made. -p, we're going to specify the password that we want to spray, which is welcome 2025 ! Like so. And we should be able to just leave it at that and see if we're able to compromise any of these users. And it looks like we were able to compromise a user, the A. Harris user. So let's grab that and add that to our notes. And hey, Abel just became a member over on YouTube. Thank you, Abel. Welcome to the YouTube membership fun. It's good to have you as a member. Okay, and we'll say we were able to compromise A. Harris, like so. We'll drop the syntax in there. And if I look over at our table of contents here, we have nmap SMB. Let's make another H1. And we will say compromising A. Harris, and we'll begin enumerating from those permissions. And we'll drop A. Harris's credentials in here. Yep, you can check the lockout policy using netexec, exactly. You just have to look at the wiki for the syntax, but yeah, that's how you can do it. So A. Harris's is A.Harris and the password right here. So we have successfully compromised a second user. Now with A. Harris, one thing I like to do once we compromise a new user is see if they have any interesting access to the shares. So we do A. Harris like that with their password, and then we'll do -- shares. I'm guessing they have the same access as before, and yeah, they have read access to human resources. They are not an admin. They don't have access to the C drive. So nothing else interesting here. Now we're at a spot that we want to begin enumerating the Active Directory environment itself. When it comes to AD pen testing, it's less about finding like CVEs and popping vulnerabilities and more about enumerating misconfigurations or overly privileged accounts in Active Directory. You can try this manually if you enjoy pain. Otherwise, I recommend using Bloodhound. And with Bloodhound, there's a few different steps to it. I've showed this in many of my videos, but the first step of using Bloodhound is we have to grab what is called the loot, or really all of the information about the AD environment, what GPOs exist, what privileges exist, what rights do users have over other users, and we can do that usually with netexec. If netexec doesn't work, we can try Bloodhound Python. We can also try, I think it's Rusthound in order to collect loot. If you have access to a Windows machine, you can use Sharphound. And use Sharphound, that's actually the preferred way. But let's try using netexec to see if we can collect the Bloodhound loot first. We can do it with LDAP, and we could actually use eHills. We don't have to use the user we just compromised. We can use eHills first. If you do compromise a higher privileged user, it's always worth rerunning Bloodhound. You might see more edges you didn't have access to, but we can try our normal eHills user. And this is another one of those things that I always screw up the syntax. I know it's LDAP, and I think it's something like Bloodhound collection all. See, every single time, if you've ever watched my live streams, you know that every time I collect Bloodhound data, I'm always this close to using the right syntax, but I never use the right syntax. There's something broken in my brain. Freaking -- Bloodhound -- collection all. See, I'm always so close. All right, it's going to attempt to connect, and you can see it failed based on DNS resolution. What we can try then is a flag, and I'm going to make myself disappear, guys, so that you can see the flag that I'm typing. It's -- DNS server, and then you want to specify the IP of the domain controller. So let me go ahead and grab that IP here and paste that in. Now we cross our fingers and hope it works. Maybe. And it did. Beautiful. So we'll add that. Whoops, wrong screen share. Let me just bring myself back. Hello, everyone. We'll grab all of this and add it to our notes showing how we collected the Bloodhound loot. We'll do an H2, and I'm going to do enumerating with Bloodhound. And we'll say collecting the loot first, and we'll drop that information in there. Now, when we look at this, you can see that it saves the output actually to the netexec folder here. So it's in your home folder .netexec, blah, 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 blah. What I like to do is just copy this into whatever directory we are working in. So we will do a CP for copy, paste that in, do a space, and then a period to copy to our current working directory. Do an ls, and you can see we have the .zip, and that's all the Bloodhound loot that's going to allow us to enumerate the Active Directory environment. Now, we still have to spin up Bloodhound itself. There's different ways of doing this, okay? What I enjoy using is Bloodhound Community Edition and using the Bloodhound CLI. If you don't have that installed, if we jump over here and we do Bloodhound CLI, you can download it from Spectre Ops GitHub. If you go to releases here, you just want to download the correct release for whatever architecture machine you are using. If you are running Kali Linux on Ubuntu, which is what I use Ubuntu as my base OS, or if you're using Windows, you likely want to use the AMD 64. If you're on a Mac, you want to use the ARM. More than likely. And then tar-xf, do your typical, take it out of the tar ball, and then you'll be able to run it. I saved it to my path directory. So once you pull it out of there, if you echo out your path on your machine, all you have to do is do sudo copy and then the Bloodhound CLI, and then save it to your path, like user local bin, and then any folder that you're in, you're able to run the Bloodhound CLI because you saved it to your path. So that's what I did, and that's why I can just type Bloodhound CLI and you're able to see it run. I need to run it with sudo privileges because my user is not in the Docker group. And then what it's going to do is spin up Bloodhound in a Docker container. The old way of using Bloodhound, and this is how I learned it, is you had to spin up Neo4j first, then you spin up Bloodhound, then you set the communication between the two. But with the Bloodhound Community Edition, you can do all of it in Docker. And so you just do Bloodhound CLI install. It will spin everything up for you. Once it's done spinning it up, it will give you the initial password that it says for the admin user, and then we'll be able to log into the Bloodhound interface, upload the loot that we just got, and begin enumerating the various attack paths that might exist in the AD environment. Lots of talking. So that's what we're doing. It usually takes a minute or two, but it shouldn't take too long, and then it should spit out the starting password for you. So it gives you the starting password. You will be prompted to change that password on login. I've actually already set the password, so I'll have to use the password I set it to. The question is, do I remember the password I set it to the last time we were streaming? Maybe. I think it's Hacksmarter321! Yes, it is. It is. But you'll want to, if it's your first time running Bloodhound, you will use that default password it gives you. And then as soon as you log in, it will prompt you for a new password. I've just used Bloodhound in many streams, so mine's already set up. So here's Bloodhound. Step number one is we want to ingest data, but for me, I'm pretty sure I still have data in here from the Cisco machine that we did in the last live stream. So I'm going to go ahead and actually clear the data on mine. So if we go over to database management, I hit administrator, database management. I'm just going to go ahead and clear all my past data because we're done with those labs and we don't need the data in our Bloodhound environment. And so we'll get that deleted. It shouldn't take too long because I think I cleared the other data. So it's just going to clear the Cisco data from our last live stream. And I don't think that lab had a bunch of users or anything crazy. So it shouldn't take too long for us to clear out the data. Once the data is cleared out, we can click into quick upload and we can upload the .zip or loot that we were able to grab. So you can see I'm in Cisco from our last live stream. I'm going to click over to the welcome one and we have the bloodhound.zip that we gathered with netexec. I'm going to click open and upload. We can then close that out and it says, hey, we successfully uploaded one file for ingestation. And you can see it here. Spam it example is just the default one because we didn't set up user accounts or anything. But you can see it's set to ingesting and it's 0 files because it's still ingesting. Shouldn't take too long. For a real world AD environment with thousands of users, it will take a little bit longer. For a lab environment, it should take like a minute or so. And when we refresh, we should see if it's ingested. It's still ingesting. Do I have any dedicated video on writing professional reports for web app pen test in the upcoming web app pen testing course? Reports always a pain. I don't. That's something I want to do a mini course on. To be honest, my web app pen testing course became much larger than I was expecting, and I didn't want to add a whole nother module on reporting. To do reporting justice, there's a lot that goes into it. So I want to come out with a mini course or even a hack with me where I cover pen test reporting in detail. So I cover some of it in the course, but not a dedicated section, if that makes sense. Are real world testing fun, boring? Stream looks interesting. The speed of testing might be too slow. No, it's very fun in the real world, especially Active Directory pen testing. That's when I feel like I'm a real hacker. Like web app pen testing is fun, but when you're in an organization's internal environment, guys, there's so much stuff to look into. There's so much things to dig into. I think it's fun. And every time I've done an AD pen test, I've gotten domain admin. Like they've never been able to stop me. And when you get domain admin in the real world, it's just like there's an adrenaline rush that comes with it. So it is definitely a lot of fun. Anyways, our data has been successfully ingested into the environment. Bloodhound, if you've never used it, I like to think of it like Google Maps for hacking Active Directory. And what I mean by that is it shows you different paths, different things that you're able to abuse based on your starting point. So remember, we just compromised the A. Harris user. So on nodes, we can actually look at A. Harris. I'm going to click into A. Harris here, and here's A. Harris. Now, this isn't required, but it's more fun this way. If you right-click A. Harris, you can mark A. Harris as owned, and then it has the old school RuneScape, like you just killed somebody in the wildy skull with A. Harris. Now what I'm going to do is hide myself again because I don't want to block stuff. When we click into this node, on the right side of your screen, it gives you a lot of information about our user. So we can see it's Elise Harris is their name, not an admin, blah, 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 blah. What we're really looking for is any outbound object control in any groups that they're a member of. So if we click into member of, we can see a few things about A. Harris. A. Harris is a member of remote management users, which means we should be able to get WinRM access to the machine and access the domain controller from the command line. They're also a member of domain users, and they're a member of HR. So we have compromised what appears to be an HR employee of some sort or an HR intern. But what really is going to be interesting to us is outbound object control. So if we look at outbound object control, when you have that, it means that your user has permissions to write over or to control another account. So we can often do lateral movement or privilege escalation if our user has outbound object control. And we can see this. So A. Harris is a member of HR, and HR has what's called generic all over iPark. If you know your Active Directory permissions, you know that generic all, well, is what it sounds like. We can do a lot of stuff to take over the iPark account. What's beautiful about Bloodhound is if you don't know how to abuse generic all, when you click into it, so I click generic all, it brings up this on the right side of your screen. It will give you some information, and it says, hey, this is known as full control. The permission allows the trustee, which is A. Harris, to manipulate the target object however they wish. And since we're abusing it from a Linux environment, we can look into Linux abuse and say, okay, how can we do this? We can do a targeted Kerberos attack, or we can do the YOLO option and force change the password. So we can actually change iPark's password, gain access to their account, perform lateral movement, and take over their account. And I'm guessing that's going to be the way in to the next part of the machine. So I'm going to grab a screenshot of this information, do Control C. I'll jump over to my notes here, and I think I can bring myself back on screen here, and we'll just go ahead and say A. Harris has generic all over i.park, which is going to be worth digging into. But we can continue looking at the AD environment before we actually do that. So when we compromise iPark, what I like to do is try to map out my attack path. So let's say we compromise iPark. What can we do from there? Well, if we click into iPark, let me make myself disappear again. We can look at iPark's information. And we can see that iPark has outbound object control. Specifically, iPark can change the passwords of the two service accounts. So they're in the help desk group, it looks like, and they can force change password of service web and service CA. So we're slowly putting together an attack path of how we can compromise this AD environment. And this is very real world in how you would approach this. Let's add that to our notes. We'll say iPark has force change password on the service accounts. So I'll make that a little bit smaller, and I'll just left align it. And now let's see, once we compromise one of these accounts, what can they do? All right, they don't have any outbound object control, at least the service web doesn't. Service CA doesn't have any outbound object control, but if I was a betting man because of Service CA and Service Web, I bet something's going to be vulnerable. One of these service accounts will be able to abuse an ADCS or Active Directory Certificate Services misconfiguration to give ourselves domain admin. See that often in the real world as well, but we're getting ahead of ourselves there on whether or not they have that. We'll have to enumerate that. But before we do that, before we reset passwords, before we do any of that, let's see if we can get the user flag. A. Harris is in that remote management group, which should give us WinRM access, I think, to the domain controller. And let's see if we can grab the user flag. So we'll do evil winrm-u, A. Harris-p, whatever A. Harris's password was. I don't remember. Oh, that's E. Hills. A. Harris is this one. And then -I for our target is going to be dc01.welcome.local. And we are able to connect. So we have full command line access now to the domain controller. So this is a real pen test. We'd be celebrating. We got command line access to the domain controller. And I'll just say we'll do a H2 confirming WinRM access to the DC as A. Harris, like so. And we'll drop that in the code block, just showing that we have access. And if you are new to CTFs, generally once you get remote access to the machine, you can grab the user flag. It's usually on the user's desktop. And there's no restrictions on Hacksmarter. If someone is like stream sniping to steal a flag, they're only cheating themselves. So if you're ever streaming Hacksmarter, I don't care if you show the flag on stream. Obviously, I'm the owner of the platform and I'm showing the flag on stream. But let's go ahead and get credit for this. So we grab the user flag. Let's jump over to the lab environment. And let's drop in that user flag so we get credit for it. We'll hit submit. And boom, it is correct. Our next task is the root flag, but we are at a very good natural stopping point. I actually went a little bit long. We're at 26 minutes in part 2 of this machine, but hopefully you learned a lot. We did a bunch in this video, enumerated the AD environment, compromised another user, found an attack path that we might be able to abuse to eventually get domain admin, got WinRM access to the domain controller, pulled down the user flag, but now I want you to try the next steps on your own. So before you watch part 3, boot up the welcome machine and see what you're able to do. See if you can reset that other user's password. See if you can then do lateral movement into those service accounts, enumerate ADCS. I think that's going to be the way forward, and see if you can figure out a way to exploit that to become the domain admin and to fully compromise the environment. But hey, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. All right, now I'm only live with you guys. We are now at like 2 hours and 20 minutes of streaming. But there's like 100 of you hanging out. Hello, all 100 of you. Thank you for taking the time to hang out. If you just joined, we have finished up our hacking portion of it. But I am happy to do a little more Q&A. Not a bunch, because my voice is going on. My mouth is all dry. I will be live streaming again tomorrow. But if you guys have any questions about pen testing, ethical hacking, career certifications, entrepreneurship, feel free to ask them now. I'll hang out a little bit longer before I sign off. Oh. What are we talking about? Prison? What's going on here? Let's scroll up. So as a hacker, how do you stop yourself from not misusing your powers? I have a moral framework. To be clear, I'm an ethical hacker. I run Kairosc. I run a pen testing firm. I only hack a company when I have written explicit authorization and a very clear rules of engagement. I'm not like just hacking all the things. I don't want to go to prison. I like my family. I like what I do. So all my hacking is legal and ethical. And Hacksmarter, if you go to hacksmarter.org, we have the labs like that I've been showcasing. You can hack stuff legally and learn all about it. So head over to hacksmarter.org. We have a few different types of content for those of you new to the platform. We have our first Blue Team Lab. Once again, our first Blue Team Lab is launching tomorrow, but All Access unlocks all the content. Hands-on Labs just unlocks the labs, but as All Access, or you can pay standalone. I have full-length courses that teach ethical hacking. I have mini courses called Hack With Me that teach ethical hacking, and then these are the hands-on labs. You boot them up, connect to the VPN, and then all of them have really good detailed walkthroughs from community members that if you get stuck, you can follow along with those so that you can learn ethical hacking in a safe, secure, legal environment. hosted for you. Kimberly said, what level of experience should someone have to get started with Hacksmarter Labs? It's very beginner friendly, especially our easy labs, and like this course. This Intro to Hacking Methodology course is very, very, very beginner friendly, but you do need to have some fundamental knowledge of IT and systems. Like, I'm not going to teach you how to use a computer. I'm not going to teach you how to do basic things on the command line. So you want to have a basic understanding of working with computers, working with Linux. You don't need to be a hacker, but a basic understanding of working with Linux and such. Honestly, just go to YouTube and type how to use Linux and watch an hour-long video, and you'd be in a solid spot to start working through Hacksmarter. How do hackers get to know about enterprise weaknesses, or we can say DC? So generally in a pen test, you get a VPN, or you go on site and you're on their internal network, and then you just begin enumerating from there. And you use things like Bloodhound and Nmap and Nessus to discover vulnerabilities, and you chain those vulnerabilities together until you fully compromise their environment. But a big thing about pen testing is a client is paying you not to hack all the things, but to report. So at the end of a pen test, you give a very detailed professional report so that they can go over it. Then you often do a debrief with the client where you jump into a meeting, share your screen, walk them through the report, answer questions they have. And so pen testing is much more holistic. It's a lot of hacking, yes, but it's also a lot of written and verbal communication and working with the client to help make sure their environment is as secure as possible. What's up, Anush? The web app hacking course is done, completely done. It is going through the final steps of QA. It will release on Tuesday, February 17th. 6 days from now, that web app hacking course will be coming out. 8-Bit Boy said, difference between VAPT, pen testing, and red teaming, and what part are you into, or is it full infrastructure? Yeah. VAPT, or vulnerability scanning. Typically, you're not exploiting anything. You're running a Nessus scan, and you're just seeing what vulnerabilities exist in the environment. Pen testing, you're actually trying to exploit those vulnerabilities, and you're doing a lot of manual testing to find other vulnerabilities. Pen testing, time-limited engagement. You don't have to focus on stealth. You can generally be as noisy as you want. Your goal is to find as many vulnerabilities in the short time that you have. Red teaming is when you emulate an APT, or a nation-state actor, much longer, 3 months, 6 months, maybe a year. Not focused on vulnerabilities, more focused on goal execution, and it's a large team. Scope is much more open. You'll do a mix of everything. You'll do social engineering, you'll do cloud, you'll do network, you'll do web. You'll do whatever you can to get to that goal execution. So very quick summary of those. All right, let's see. It'd be great if you come to India for a meetup. You inspire me to work hard. Hey, maybe one day when my kids are older, I would love to come to India. I have 2 young kids, so I just don't like traveling. I like to be home with my kids. So I only travel for a few things. I go to DEF CON in Vegas. I go to Wild West Hacking Fest in Deadwood, South Dakota. And I go to Simply CyberCon in South Carolina. Those are the only 3 conferences you'll catch me at. I don't attend any other conferences. But if you're going to be at DEF CON, Wild West Hacking Fest, Deadwood, or Simply CyberCon, we'd love to meet up. We'd love to grab drinks, food, all the things. But my next conference will be DEF CON in Vegas, and I'm super pumped. I already have it marked off on my calendar. I'm excited to be there and hang out with you guys. Thicolo, what did I miss? Thicolo, you missed 2 hours and 30 minutes of streaming and hacking. But that's okay. It's good to have you here for the very end. Thank you, Veetsploit. Kish Infosec said, I got super high-level beginner Linux tutorials on my GitHub. That's awesome, dude. Drop the link. Thoughts on current job market and cybersecurity? The job market is tough right now. It's definitely tough. You really have to figure out a way to get yourself to stand out. I think I've said this like 3 or 4 times so far in the stream. My recommendation, at least for pen testing, is the OSCP, having multiple CVEs to your name, so doing CVE research, and having a platform. By a platform, I mean a YouTube, a blog, being active on LinkedIn. You almost need all 3 of those things just to stand out above other people and to hopefully get to the interview. But the job market is definitely unusually difficult and tough right now. So you have to figure out a way to stand out. Hey, congrats, Dark Trace. Awesome job on finishing it. Let me know if you enjoyed it, but great work finishing it. Dude, 24 hours of flying, that would be brutal. Guys, I'm like 6'2". I hate airplanes. I'd assume an international flight's more comfortable, but like when I go to Vegas, I'm so uncomfortable. I freaking hate the planes. I do not fit in those seats. J Gold's blowing up my DMs. All right, bro. I'll eventually respond to you. Probably this afternoon. How many percentage of real-world machines or ADs do you think can be successfully compromised without initial creds? I don't know. If I gave you a percentage, it would be made up. It depends on the environment. If you have network access, you can, if you're on site and you can do LLMNR poisoning and spin up responder, there's a good chance you can compromise things. If anonymous or guest access is allowed to their shares, a good chance you can compromise things, but I don't know. It all depends. I can't give you a percentage. Odd question, AI hacking in the future? Eventually, I want to make a course called Hacking the Robots on AI hacking, but that's a ways into the future. I have a lot of other stuff I'm doing before then. We will have some, I think, AI hacking labs, though, like challenge labs coming up soon. These tests will be detected by EDR like FireEye. Is there a chance of evading them? All depends on the EDR. All depends how you do it. I've had a lot of luck doing things from Cali that isn't detected by EDR because I'm not touching their systems. Like, I've done a golden ticket attack and full domain compromise on a client that was using a major EDR and their EDR did not detect it. A big part, though, of EDR is making sure you're tuning the alerts so they're accurate. A lot of EDRs lead to alert fatigue, so they may have been alerted about my activity, but it did not stop me and they did not respond because their alerts aren't tuned correctly. So there's a lot that goes into that. If not first, at least business class. I can't afford it. Guys, I think a lot of people, when they see me, assume that I make like, okay, no offense to Heath Adams. He's a friend of mine. But people think that like I make Heath Adams money. Guys, I do not. I took a $70,000 a year pay cut just to do my own thing. I don't actually make a lot of money. I can't afford first class or even business class. I'm not joking. So I usually don't even pay to pick my seat because that's extra money I also don't have. So maybe when I have a bunch of money, I'll fly first class and business class, but now I just fly like the ghetto economy, wherever they put me in the middle seat, uncomfortable, but it is what it is. Working on a blue team workshop to help some people get hands-on with some tools easily. That's awesome, Kish InfoSec. Just to let you know, by the way, you did not accept my LinkedIn invite. I probably didn't. I have, I think, 4,000 or 5,000 requests on LinkedIn. I gave up on keeping track of those. If you want to talk to me, though, I do my best to respond to email. So I just dropped my email. I try to read and respond to all the emails, so you can shoot me on there. No, don't shoot me. Frick. Guys, I've been talking too long. My talking is going to start breaking now. Shoot me an email if you have questions or want to chat. But yeah, LinkedIn I can't keep up with. Thoughts on learning fuzzing? Yeah, it's a good thing to learn. But I don't know what you mean by fuzzing. Web app, there's fuzzing. Desktop pen testing, there's fuzzing. Fuzzing goes into all kinds of things, but it's a good thing to learn. Tyler ain't got a Lambo yet. Not yet. No Lambos yet. Stop it, bro. You got that moolah? Young moolah, baby. Some Lil Wayne. How many cyber ranges are you planning? I don't know. Depends how many people in the community submit. We have one for sure coming out. Like, guys, Hacksmarter is very much community driven. Someone asked me, I think yesterday, Tyler, why do you have so much Active Directory content? It's just, that's what people submitted. If someone submits a machine that is realistic, it gets added to the platform. Active Directory, Windows, Linux, web, AWS, Blue Team now. It's just that the community submitted a bunch of Active Directory stuff, so we have a bunch of Active Directory stuff. It was not my plan. Same with the cyber ranges. We have one for sure coming out. It'd be sweet to release 2, 3, 4, but I personally, when I'm doing pen testing alongside Hacksmarter, I personally don't have the time or capacity to build the cyber range. So it depends how many people in the community want to build one. For cyber ranges, for the first cyber range, I'm compensating the author, I think, $1,000. I wish I could do more, but that's what I'm doing right now. So if you have a cyber range that you want to submit, I wish I could pay you more, but like I said, I'm still trying to build stuff. But right now, if someone builds a good range, I'm trying to compensate them $1,000 for the range. So it's not a bunch of money, but it's money. It's something, right, to be compensated for it. And then you get to share with the community and help people learn. Can you make an OAuth redirect URI misconfig lab on Hacksmarter? Yeah. And you know what, Joshua? Joshua, you can make one. I know that you could. You should make one and submit it to Hacksmarter. I would love to feature it. My favorite Linux distro is Ubuntu, just because it's easy to use. It's actually what I use. I don't use Windows. My base operating system, like my main operating system is Ubuntu. I do all my video editing on Ubuntu. I do all my live streaming on Ubuntu. I do all my business stuff on Ubuntu. The only time I use Windows is for gaming, if I have to game, or Dratus is stupid and they export their reports as Word documents. And so when I'm doing reporting, I'll jump over to my Windows machine to do that. But like 99.9% of everything I do, Ubuntu is my base OS. I don't use Windows. Windows is garbage. Dude, Ryan, we were just talking about you earlier. I was talking about your upcoming DACL Hack With Me mini course. Good to see you, my friend. I'm just about to jump off, but I appreciate you being here. Do you accept web-only labs, so only getting RCE? No Prevesc? Yes. Actually, I think I've made some. I think, gosh, I've done too many labs. I think Verbose is one, a web challenge lab that's pure web. You don't actually do Prevesc or anything, but yes, I would love to have some web specific labs. It's actually more realistic. Honestly, even if you don't get RCE. So like one of the labs, I think you have to steal a cookie and the flag is in the cookie. I'm good with that too. Because in most web app pen tests, you're not getting RCE. All right. Internal pen test, you're getting RCE likely, but an external facing web app pen test, you're probably not going to get RCE. You're looking for other vulnerabilities. It's cool if you get RCE, but more than likely you're not going to. So definitely open to that. Kish and InfoSec. All right, dude, let's chat. What games do you play? I like Battlefield. I don't play Battlefield 6 because something bugged with my computer on it, but I love Battlefield 1. That's like the World War I style of Battlefield 1. I think, all right, hot take. Battlefield 1 is the greatest Battlefield. Maybe behind Bad Company 2. I used to play a lot of Bad Company 2 on the original Xbox, but Battlefield 1, I think, has the best Battlefield vibes out of the different Battlefield games. So Battlefield 1, I still play that today pretty often. Battlefield 5 as well. That's the World War II version of Battlefield. I enjoy that. I play Elder Scrolls Online as well. I play Hogwarts Legacy, usually with my kids. They enjoy Hogwarts Legacy. Geez, I have a bunch of games. Oh, Counter-Strike as well. I play occasionally. But the ones I play the most are Battlefield 1, Elder Scrolls Online, and Hogwarts Legacy right now. The atmosphere and sound design is the best. I agree. Immersion. No, Battlefield 4 is not peak. I mean, Battlefield 4 is good. Guys, Battlefield 1, if you played Battlefield 1 on release and you haven't played it for a while, boot it up. I still play it at least once a week. The immersion of Battlefield 1, the sound design, the gameplay, like the newer games don't come close to Battlefield 1. And it looks amazing. I personally think Battlefield 1 looks better than Battlefield 6, just graphic-wise. Personal opinion, but my opinion's right. All right, you can disagree, but you have the freedom of being wrong. I am currently cloud admin and wanted to switch to cyber, as it seems also how hackers are able to bypass 2FA. You know what? For good or for bad, I teach that. In my hands-on phishing course, if you want to check out this course, I'll drop the link again to Hacksmarter. I teach how to use Evil Jinx as an invisible proxy to steal session tokens and to bypass MFA. So that's one way to do it, is stealing a session token, then you can bypass MFA. But I actually teach that exact method in my hands-on phishing course. Bypassing MFA by using Evil Jinx and a fake login page that functions as an invisible proxy that steals a user session. So if you want to learn how I do that in real phishing, you can check out the hands-on phishing course. I teach all of it there. I'll bring it back to life. Battlefield 1 is good. Multiplayer on 4 was just different. True. I played a lot of Battlefield 3. I really enjoyed Battlefield 3 too. Oh, Abex said that as well. Yeah. Thoughts on Hogwarts Legacy? Hogwarts Legacy is fun. I'm a fan of like the Harry Potter universe, so that helps with it. But I think Hogwarts Legacy, it's gotten some flack from initial release. Some of that's a little bit deserved, but I think it's a really well done game. There's a lot that they should have added to it. Like, I'm very disappointed that it doesn't have Quidditch in it. I think that Hogwarts Legacy 2 is going to be amazing. Some of the quests do get a little bit competitive on Hogwarts Legacy. I finally beat the full like main storyline. Now I'm just doing side quests. I don't game super often though, guys. Obviously I'm busy. So I maybe game once a week or once every couple of weeks. And same with Hogwarts Legacy. I don't play it super often, but I do enjoy it when I play it. But one of the reasons I probably enjoy it is I don't play it day after day after day. So it doesn't feel repetitive to me. But my kids also really enjoy Hogwarts Legacy. They don't play it, but they like to watch it. So that's what I'm usually playing it. I just finished Expedition 33. The beginning straight made me cry. What's Expedition 33? I feel like I recognize that name. It is a 2025 role-playing video game. I'll have to check it out. Cool, cool. Thoughts on Watch Dogs 1? I haven't played it. Gaming, I did some gaming streams, guys. During December, I took a break, and I did some gaming streams. You'll have to go back on YouTube and watch those. Me and Justin played some Counter-Strike, and I played some Battlefield. I also played some Hogwarts Legacy, but that's on my YouTube channel if you go back through the live streams. But all right, guys. First of all, I'm freaking starving because it's 1 o'clock, and I haven't even had breakfast or lunch, and it's 1 in the afternoon. My mouth is also shut. I've been talking too long, and I do need to finish up this pen test report for the client. The pen test finished yesterday. The report, I'm working on the report today. It's mostly done, so that's why I wanted to stream. I'm gonna go find some food. All right, we've been live. I don't think I have the bot configured. Dry catted over on Twitch. I apologize, but we've been live for about over 2.5 hours now. So I'm gonna go find some food. I'm going to finish up that report, but guys, I'll be back again tomorrow for another live stream, and we'll continue working through this lab. So thank you for being here. All of you are amazing. If you haven't already, make sure you like, subscribe, do all the social media algorithm stuff on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitch. But thank you for being here. I'll catch you guys in the next one.